That man on the right there, he has been a shining light for Oxygen. He went absolutely nuts. 26 kills and 12 deaths. That's more than a 2.0 KD. That was in his match just earlier today.
And Anne, OXG, they've had a rocky road here at SI. Foxay actually apologized to their fans during his interview, but they broke their 4-match losing streak at SI today, and you know they're taking that momentum from that M&M match. So
yeah, definitely. We saw some really good things against the M&M match. I mean, they really managed to get the opening kill in a few times. They were really good with trading kills when they had a death on their side. You mentioned Vertical. Yoga had a great game too. They were both great, and what they did is a lot is wasting time as well for M&M.
All right, we are moving into our map ban phase, and in Dev, Dev, I'm going to put you in the hot seat first. What are you thinking?
Look, nothing to surprise here. Both teams have just banned their most banned maps. So Dumb One, they literally haven't played Cafe pretty much ever. I've got stats from stage 3 onwards. They've got 38 bans for, and 1 time that it's been banned against them. So absolutely no surprises there. Oxygen are going to ban out Chalet, which has tied their most banned map alongside Villa. We see Villa come out as the pick for Dumb One. So that's Oxygen's tied most banned map, and a really, really strong map for Dumb One. They went 10-1 on it in recent history and have had wins recently at Six Invitational, including a 7-5 of an Navi, and of course that 8-6 match against Oxygen. So we are going to start with a rematch.
Yeah, we have Coastline coming out as a pick for Oxygen. They have a 60% win rate on it, and they won that map once versus MIBR back in the group stage, so it would be a strong map for them supposedly. Bank coming out as a ban for DWG KIA. They lost Bank 5-7 versus Sonic, so banning out a map that you're not potentially strong on makes a lot of sense. And the final ban coming in Oregon, I think that Clubhouse as a decider would actually be a lot better for DWG KIA. If you look at their stats, I mean, they went 7 in 11 out of their games they won, so yeah, on the side of Oxygen, they only have a 20% win rate.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. Previously, it was Oxygen who banned the Clubhouse when these two teams clashed. It was their second ban. So yes, Oxygen have decided to change things up. They didn't want to play Oregon like these two teams played last time. Typically, Oxygen are a big fan of Oregon. It's actually their most picked map. But here we go. We've got the 3 maps, and I think this is going to be a good series.
Yes, that's right. Our teams are ready to go. So DWG KIA versus OXG. Who is going home? Who will get the victory? We shall see. Blue and Stokes, take it away. Let's go!
Thank you very much, Jackie, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the later half of our matches for our next day of action here at the playoffs for the Six Invitational. We saw a very large upset yesterday for DWG as the Sonics were able to knock them out of the upper bracket 2-0, and a move that absolutely no one saw coming. And now it's a possibility that DWG gets knocked out of the tournament entirely by yet another North American team, but that team certainly has their work cut out for them, especially with the way the map pool ended up swinging in our ban phase here. Oxygen looks to challenge the representatives from South Korea, and we'll have to see if they'll be up to the task as we'll be getting ready to jump into our first map in just a second. Stokes, let's get your thoughts on this, though, as we get prepared to jump into Villa.
I'm a little worried for Oxygen coming into this one, John, mostly because of their inability to shut out maps in the last couple of days, and with such an aggressive roster like DWG KIA, this is extremely worrisome, but as you said, and so did the desk, they bounced back today, obviously able to get a big dub and move on to this DWG game, but it's looking pretty risque right now, especially with the map pool. But hey, we'll have to see how it works out, especially with how Oxygen and specifically Vertical was shooting today. I think that we're definitely going to have a banger of a series in front of us.
Obviously a slight edge over to the boys from DWG KIA as well when you consider the fact that this will be the only match they have to play today. Oxygen did have to play earlier on today, obviously getting a couple hours break, so plenty of time to rejuvenate, but still a second matchup that they'll now have to be ready for, and we will test them to their limits indeed due to that factor. Bans are coming out, and Thatcher is going to be the first to be eliminated. No surprises there. Our second one will be a little bit more interesting, though, as DWG KIA are going to choose to knock out Jackal.
Really like this info game choice here, as I'll be able to remove that. It'll make things a little bit easier for the roam game, but obviously we'll still have a couple of things they can possibly look into. Been seeing a decent amount of Doke be picked up as well here at SI, so a possibility for that to work itself into the fold. Velvet Shell will be removed from this game as Jackal and Mira will both go to the wayside along with Thatcher. What does Oxygen want to remove? They want to remove Pulse. Right. We actually haven't seen a Pulse ban, I don't believe. Maybe just 1 or 2 coming in that I haven't seen personally on the side of our games, but Pulse going to be removed either way. And honestly, I really like this ban here on Villa. He's extremely influential with that cardiac sensor on any map, but Villa being one of his best ones, especially around that basement space and kitchen, where he can provide not only a lot of insight, but he can also use that nitro cell to find an early pick.
Kitchen specifically around the trophy takes, we end up seeing him be quite powerful from time to time, so knocking him out is going to remove that intel game for the Oxygen roster to start things out in this half. It won't be too much of a concern for Oxygen, as we won't be seeing them go for that site, or at least a site where we need to see them extending into it, just as of yet. They'll move instead over into the living room and library site, surprisingly for their first hold, a bit of a trend away from the meta. This is usually the last or just a site that doesn't get picked up by teams at all, but instead OXG will dive directly into it. And the 6th pick as well for Laxing to move over towards an Ella.
Well, Oxygen pulling out all of the stops here up against Damwon Gaming, and why wouldn't you? They've looked so dominant here at LAN, minus their loss against the Sonics, which came in pretty convincing fashion from the Sonics as well. If you guys did not see the clips from Kansan, then, well, honestly, you're probably living under a rock. So, pretty interesting stuff coming into this one. Can Damwon Gaming KIA bounce back? With this living room defense, though, things are definitely going to be pretty interesting. Damwon Gaming will more than likely be looking to try and get some influence on that top floor, but obviously they can try and cut things off on the northern side as well, right around the red stairwell, and try and get in around the fireplace and get a plant down here.
Aside from that, though, things are going to look fairly traditional for Oxygen in terms of this living room hold here. Big emphasis on the gun vault play upstairs. Now Damwon KIA out and about. Let's see how quickly they'll be able to clear out these positions and open up a path into the site themselves. They'll have the usual formula of utility for this attacking side, most notably the Nomad coming in there to limit the rotations from Oxygen in any late round scenario, but a possibility for Yas to actually run into a few of these players fairly early on, as Foxe going to be late reinforcing the laundry room with access over towards the dining area, just to make sure that the members of Damwon KIA aren't going to be able to swing directly towards the inside. Still more members of Damwon entering towards the inside of the building, though, as Coded takes early piano control and quickly begins to squeeze out any of this extended pressure. However, Yas will be the first to try and challenge against one of the members of Oxygen, and will meet his end immediately. Yaga staying on point from the match earlier today and striking true to get the first kill of the match.
And this might be the beauty of Oxygen playing their series earlier today, is they're still hot. They don't have to worry about any warm-up or anything of the sort. Hopefully DWG got some of those T-hunts in the morning, or possibly just an early warm-up scrim. Obviously plenty of options here at SI with so many teams abound as they try and get their own games in, even on their off days. Everyone's constantly grinding whenever they are here. Well, mostly because you don't really get the opportunity to scrim internationally that often, so you better use it while you can. Code and the rest of DK will be prepared to try and push into library, and that's exactly what they're going to go for. A hop over here for Coded as he's looking for one. Can he get the second as well? Nobody home when it comes to Foxe. He's looking towards the sky. Won't be able to be picked up, but now the plant going down here for Coded.
Way too much room left open for that front hop into the library, and that's going to cost Oxygen in a big way. Vertical desperately hunting for top-down control, but nothing being found. Yaga so far the only contributor for Oxygen, as he's able to strike for a second kill here. Foxe is still down, but certainly not in any retrievable position, unfortunately, as Woogieman looks to clean up the remnants here, finding Vertical next. It's actually looking like Foxy's gonna get brought back up, but no, the push from Katsang shuts down that retake, only leaving Laxing alive now for the 1v3 with only about 10 seconds or so to get himself on the counter defuse and stick it as well. Wookie with the cross counter pretty much has Laxing's number, meaning this round is done and dusted, with the last shot ringing in a few seconds later. Damwon a bump in the road to start out the round as they lose the first pick, but quickly course correcting once they find the opening through library.
A little strange to see Damwon just allowed to walk into the library space and get that plant down, but some nice entry frags along the way for the Art Vault space. As of right now, though, oh, got a problem with the mouse? Wiping it off, making sure, gotta clean it up. All right, Rin, just make sure.
Keep it clean.
Yeah, you gotta keep it clean, you know, keep it kosher. But either way, yeah, I don't really understand how Coded was able to simply just walk into this space. No verticality inside of there either to really try and defend from the top floor. Kind of an interesting choice there from Oxygen, but that's why they're immediately going to go away from this instead. We're on to AVG, very plain Jane when it comes to the overall play of Villa.
And so this will fall Oxygen into a more expected setup, more than likely here. Not that the library thing was anything, library site, excuse me, was anything too much of a far cry from what we tend to expect from our defensive teams, but still, Oxygen falling into what you guys should be very familiar with at this point. as we're going to also see a very familiar lineup of operators coming into the fold for this second round here. The Cade out for Laxing to double reinforce some of these walls. Jaeger as well as the Banshees being brought in by Yaga to slow things down. And then, of course, since she wasn't banned out, Foxy going to go onto the Valkyrie here, adding a little bit of that extra intel. Keep in mind, this is a very prop-heavy map still, so lots of places to hide those cameras and be able to sneak in extra intel late in the round.
If Siege had prop hunt, this would be the map that you wanted to play it on.
Oh, yeah.
It would be so very interesting to see how people really thought about the map overall with all of the different objects you have floating around. But obviously not the case in the current moment. Maybe Ubisoft can grace us with that a little later on. But either way, Oxygen will be stuck here to the top floor to try and defend DWG on this second round. They'll start things off over on the study side and just look at the forces from Oxygen over here down towards the kitchen space as they're seeing if DWG want to try and go for that north clear in the current moment.
Boogeyman lining up that first air jab just to prevent any aggressive swings from OXG inside of their map table positioning out through that door. We'll see that come through now. Coded can begin a bit of an overwatch. He still has to keep an eye on the door, unfortunately, as the air jab won't block peeks from the inside. It'll just stop a player from pushing it outright. But somebody from Oxygen wanted to push themselves out and add a bit of a pinched angle against the push-in from Damwon. So, still with a minute gone from the round here, it's easy going for the Korean roster, as they still have plenty of time to build up into an assault here, plenty of time to even gather intel. They will need to start thinking of ways to clear out the main stairs setup, though, and that's exactly what they'll be leaning into now that they have Overwatch set up for the study push, as Yaga will lose the first charge on the ADS. Kino will lose his position entirely towards main stairs. The response in position from Yaga, but the shot's not connecting. So Cat saying it's a clean opener, and the rest of Damwon KIA can swarm directly in to take top stairs control.
Love that Damwon Gaming also used the hop over on the shield just to destroy it. He jumped up onto the little cabinet here and walked over the top of the shield. And if you guys don't know, you're not allowed to do that anymore. You actually used to be able to, but they took that out because you could get in some pretty cheeky spots, John. They don't want you to get up on top of certain things that could possibly bust the game or make some pretty interesting angles that they don't necessarily think are too balanced. So end up taking that out. And as we're taking things out, Coder will be taking out parts of the wall when it comes towards the planes room. Gonna pop this open. This will give a nice little view in towards the gun vault. So you also be looking in towards the rear here. A minute remaining here for Damwon Gaming KIA. They've already got their initial pick, but now this angle being used both ways as Auction will shoot out into study. Nades out as well to try and clear out some extra space, but nobody home for the time being.
Time getting low here for Damwon KIA. Need to make their move soon. Need to also find a correct route into the site, as they're going to start to see responses here from Auction due to the missteps of Damwon KIA, as they need to force themselves in. And unfortunately, that means stepping into their opponent's territory a little bit too comfortably for themselves and feeding the kills over towards Oxygen. Rin now entering in from the north side. A nice catch of the Nitro Cell midair, but still another teammate lost, and Vertical coming in from top 90 to still shut down Rin. More from the bookcase shelf, also going to be eliminated here, and suddenly it's just Boogeyman in the fight. Not even really going to have capability to entry in, just going to sit back, let the time run out for some extra discussion time, and OXG will have a very, very clean second round here as they take control of AVG without too much of a contestation coming in at all, except for that top stairs play.
Very interesting round there from Damwon Gaming as they're able to secure bookshelf as well as study, but nothing really happening past that. They'll get the wall open and simply sit on their hands. Nothing really going on, minus the rotation eventually from the Zofia, but even that didn't bag them too much. It was just a simplistic kill that came from 90, and that was really about it. Oxygen able to muster around here as they slow down Damwon Gaming just enough on their study push.
So the time ticking down for our selection here. Oxygen are once again going to throw really no surprises at us as they shift over towards a trophy and statuary hold. It's going to see some slight changes there as they 6-pick into an expected operator, the Valkyrie making itself known once again as they try to show face with, I believe it was a Mazi initially, but end up moving away from that. Into the setup phase now, so we'll head back in-game here and see what exactly things are going to look like for Oxygen. As again, the Cade's in the fold too, so it's going to cause some additional issues here for Damwon as they clear things out, but taking a peep here, we are going to see quite a bit of a blockade still forced in, and with the nades in play for Damwon KIA, we will see them have a pretty easy capability to take out the Electric Claw on the walls there and eventually get access. We'll get in game in just a second here, guys, as well.
We'll do our best to try and give you guys the best radio cast we can until some realizations happen. Either way, Oxygen in the current moment will end up clearing things out, and thank you, production, as we'll finally get back into the game here for you guys, and you guys can be visually pleasured. There you go.
So, fair, you didn't miss much. Just like
it's the prep phase. It's the most boring part of Rainbow Six. So you're
trophy stats set up too, so no huge surprises there.
Wow. What else you got here for us, John? Would you know it's Jaeger and Valkyrie? That's great. Well, hold on. Whoa, I got one for you. It's Kaid. Wow, never expected that one coming in. Kaid's going to come in, guys. He's going to hold up the triple wall here with his Electro Claws. And speaking of Kaid, Laxing already taking some heat as Damwon Gaming. They're going to clear out the shield on Astro Stairs so unbelievably quick.
Yeah, flashes are used to melt away some of the ADS charges, and then the nade itself will take out the devices themselves along with that extended shield. Laxing's position now going to be exposed, so he's forced down the stairs a bit more, as he'll be a little bit more vulnerable from that mid to top position to exposure from the repelled players. Still going to maintain his position, though, but you can notice there, if you're paying attention to the top-down view, Yas actually does have a drone stuck to the inside, but Yaga has snuck a Nitro cell out, getting revenge for the last round against his direct entry fragger. Katsang goes out first this time, and it's Yaga to pick up his own personal second kill, but Laxing, no one accounts for him to still be at the top Astro Stairs position, and he finds a second frag against Damwon KIA now, taking out Yas.
This has been fantastic so far from Oxygen. They've almost had the direct counter to Damwon Gaming's play. Vertical will take down yet another, and all of a sudden it's a 2 versus 5. Coded and Woogieman with so much to do here, but 1 minute and 20 seconds to achieve it. Coded still at the top of red here with his fellow player outside of Skull Window. He's moving in towards Statuary at the time. Does have some stuns still in his pocket that he can utilize. He'll chuck one across and try and assist his teammate by doubling back, but Woogieman's going towards the roof. He'll more than likely cross and start looking to see if he can get inside on the master end instead. Vertical, well, it's going to go for a flank up red into Coded's rear, but he's instead ran across the map. That's his silhouette moving across the bottom end of your guys' screen. He's just going to come over to the astronomy side and try and resurge with his team. And speaking of which, might be the time for Woogieman to get in front of this. Vertical might be looking for a hop there, but no, he will stay inside instead. Coded with a big kill, but now down to 1 HP as he's already up and into trophy. Able to secure one, but now crawling on his belly to see if he can secure more. A stun out. It should fully blind this player. He'll find it, and Oxygen just simply are not stopping the push. Coded, how is he getting away with so much? He has so little HP in the moment. Woogieman will double back. He's back inside of Skull, and with 20 seconds remaining, they can get this case down. But do they have the visual ability to actually stop this from happening? Oxygen move forward, Bert to go down, he has the cross, and from Woogie, and Damwon Gaming get around they were never intended to have.
A 2v5 out from Damwon KIA as they steal it right out of the hands of Oxygen. OXG feel far too secure in their positions and allow for Coded to swing at every single angle he so chooses there. Once again, the detached 1v1's being given over to him as well. The player count bleeds slowly, and you're going to see it here on replay, player by player by player, and eventually equalizing out the equation, and the great flick from Woogieman at the end as well saves not only himself, but his teammate in the midst of the plant there. That's a huge blunder from Oxygen, and they are going to want that round back quickly.
I mean, it's even more of a problem. They have no denial downstairs, John, but yet there's 2 members there. They don't have a nitro cell, they have nothing. There's not even any information to go into that site. So what are you doing downstairs? Just go back upstairs and assist your teammates. But unfortunately enough for Oxygen, they play those members down low. They think DWG are going to go for a rotation on that level, and it doesn't happen. Instead, they take the heads-up gunfights, and they win them time and time again. An insane round 3 that ends up pulling DWG ahead.
So DWG taking the lead over Oxygen. Oxygen not choosing to try and go for a pause or anything. They feel that, again, they can continue onward, try out another site, and keep this rolling before they might need to stop the game here and figure out what's going wrong. We'll see if that is going to work out for them as they now go to their 4th and final site, rotating all the way around the world, all the way around Villa here to test out the strengths and weaknesses of Damwon to find the best sites to play into. So we'll see if this one will work out for them to equalize the equation once again at a 2-2 scoreline. For Damwon KIA, the equation is going to be the same though in terms of their operator selections, and things look actually fairly similar for Oxygen as well. Just a few slight thematic changes, as most notably Yaga just going to go onto a more comfortable pick as he heads towards the Ella for this round instead.
Well, the basement clears for Damwon Gaming. Drones abode, but won't have to use them all too much. pushing up through Pantry. Has the ability to kill one, but that shotgun close range. Can he win it out? Oh my god, what is that timing? Kino, so unfortunate in the moment. It just seems like the luck is not there, and it's a rush for Damwon Gaming. Y'all got to take down Coded inside of what I believe is Pantry, as we will indeed still have the case on Woogieman. He'll be able to double back and secure that, but they have the site pressure, and yet another kill here. Where's the stop from Oxygen? Woogieman will be forced off of the plant, but it's a 4 versus 3. A tear down to the doors. They will find one. Rin, seemingly unaware that the door is being torn up behind him. Nitro sell out, and it will be able to stop the plant, I do believe, but finally it'll go down. Yas will only have 1 HP and a dream in order to secure this. Vertical will shut him up, and it'll be a tie game.
Forcing the issue as Damwon KIA try to brute force their way into the site, and as we can see, to some extent, it does work with the case going down onto the ground. They underestimate the quickness with which we would see Oxygen get back on point for the retake, especially Foxe there, as we saw at least one member standing directly in front of a barricade that got ripped down and tore that player to shreds. And with that not being accounted for, a quick retake is found from Oxygen. Revenge for the previous round is quickly picked up as well, and they equalize things at a 2-2 scoreline. Now returning to the other site, which they claimed earlier in this half, over inside of AVG.
We'll see if Oxygen can make a stand here yet again. It was a slow-moving offense for DWG that started off in Study, eventually expanded over towards Master as the Zofia tried to push in through Statuary, but just simply couldn't get anything done towards top end, getting removed from play from the 90 player. Either way, though, Oxygen have been able to tie things up and also slow down DWG in a lot of different ways, especially in that last round. That was a grandstand that we needed to see from them. Damwon is definitely a team that wants to get in your face. They want to be aggressive, and the biggest thing about this genre is they're very coordinated about it, and that's when things get scary. You know, uncoordinated aggression is extremely easy to deal with, but when you have 5 people all on the same page trying to just murder your site players, that's not exactly fun.
No, it is not here, but all according to plan, I think, so far here for Damwon KIA. This is not where they're looking to score the large majority of their rounds. If you heard it from our analyst, as Oxygen struggling more so on their attacks so far, and this map is going to be no exception to that. They get slowed down, they get detached, they get unsure of themselves. So it's not until we get into the second half that the true test, at least for me, begins for the OXG roster. So I'm seeing Laxing trying to hide that electric claw, kind of in plain sight or inside the floor here, and it just barely stretches far enough to be able to get both of those walls there, making it a bit trickier of a task for Damwon to be able to take that out. Shouldn't be too difficult, though. Once a drone spots it out there, a nice little ping. And as you guys saw, I'm pretty sure that that has full breach through the floorboards there, so just a well-placed nade will get rid of that. And there's plenty of those in check for Damwon KIA.
As well as Rin having those impacts as well. They'll more than likely end up going in to actually clear that out. And those impacts, even at that range for the Electro Claw, will more than likely end up catching it. Either way, though, about 40 seconds in here now as DK begin to clear up the study space again. This is very similar to what we saw in their last round. More than likely be trying to pressure the main stairs here for a time. They'll be able to secure some semblance of control downstairs, but how long is this going to last? Oxygen does have some members over towards the north side, specifically Foxe that we saw going down the red staircase. It's more than likely in the area and could prevent this from going on. He's still all the way across the map there as well, so more than likely just waiting on him to make his move, or for this timer to get a little bit lower where DWG feel more secure in what they're doing. They'll be able to secure Yaga, and now some extra damage coming in onto actually Foxe as he gets found out over inside of the library space.
Kino with an angle against at least one member of Damwon KIA, and it's going to be Katsang down below that's caught through the top below hole, taking him out of play, giving the advantage back over to an even keel here with 4v4 now lined up after the early pick was found by Rin, and a nice exchange there picked up by our friends from Oxygen inside of the site. Damwon bleeding out this time bank and making a good amount of progress, but they did this the same time on the last attempt as well. They need to make some more forward momentum here, get themselves into the site this time. This is the same point where they started to struggle previously, so we can see here Woogieman gonna rotate out probably onto the onto the 90 rappel and get himself in position to counter out any more aggressive moves from the back of the site that OXG may try to make here, because at the moment they have full control, full mobility in that back area. They can rotate back out the top red here, work their way back in, and that's gonna be a big loss there. Full 12 pellets getting deleted out there by Coded, and once again, that's a nice play on the electric claw from Lax Laxing that actually enables that to happen, so only one opening can possibly come out from Coded here. That one's going to go off, though, as you just heard the explosion, and immediately get used as well. Coded getting revenge for the loss of his pellets against Kino, but now they have no angle into Aviation itself. That is fully locked in here for Laxing, and he can very quickly cut off the swings if they even tried to go for it through the bar door. However, they make their way in anyway. The timing works out for DWG KIA. They find a hold. Laxing goes down as Coded enters in once again with Rin having a quick follow-up. The repel restricting Vertical, but not that much apparently, as he's able to trade it back out against Woogie. Can't sustain against Yas with a bookcase swing though, and once again, revenge is found. DWG KIA picking up another round of their own and now taking the lead away yet again.
Insane round there from DWG, especially because of what we saw happening with the Skyroads pellets there. The Electro Claw out of Laxing, that was almost a round-ending move there, but they still get the pressure in behind bar, and the biggest thing is that they take down Yogg. That was not intended to happen for Oxygen, as he was just simply unaware that someone was going to be manning that hole initially once the last set of Skyros pellets went off, so just ends up getting killed out in the end. It's going to be a 6 pick here from Woogieman off of the IQ, and what is he going to bring into the fold here? We do see Foxay obviously 6 picking over towards the Valkyrie, and Woogieman, he's actually going to be bringing the Lion. This is one that we don't get to see too often outside of Coastline, but one that can definitely assist the offensive squad in dealing some serious damage over to the opposing team.
This is a site where, again, DWG KIA managed to have a miraculous comeback from a 2v5. They struggled tremendously in the early round, though, largely because they could not track down the members of Oxygen too well. So the Lion is going to end up, in my opinion, being a great pickup for this team to restrict the movement, especially inside of these tighter fight situations of the Oxygen out-and-about players. So let's see if it works out for them. They'll be spawning in about 15 seconds once OXG finish their own setup, and we can see semblances of that extended pressure already starting to build out for the defensive roster. Vertical out in towards dining as well as kitchen, and away from that, more than likely going to see a setup over towards the area at Astro yet again.
Unfortunately for Fox, he almost had a really nice camera. You can fit it in behind that potted plant, and it actually ends up catching a lot of people's legs and stuff like that that move up the stairwell, and it's a pretty cheeky spot to try and find when you actually are in that space as an offender. But we'll just go with the basic one of putting it on the chandelier, a very straightforward cam that we see pretty often when it comes to Valkyrie play whenever we do get it. Unfortunately enough here, we will indeed see some extra cams eventually be utilized here for Oxygen that can hopefully find them some solid intel. We're actually going to be playing inside of this spot yet again here where we saw the nade go off and clear up all of this utility. Xkyros out the Coded. He's taking so much heat in this space, practically a pre-fire coming out from that area as Kino just assumes in what's going on. Not able to get those Xkyros pellets off the wall. There'll be a new angle, new hole dedicated to the wall here for Trophy as DWG continue to crunch onto the site.
Lots of downstairs presence still in play. KIA yet to even use the EE1D charges as of yet here from their Lion, with 3 of those available. I think they want to try and bring one of these out here to suss out some of the early positions with players swinging into the windows, but not just yet. Woogieman's been holding those, and we'll more than likely start to see them get deployed in a moment here after they finish their kind of secondary droning. Now they peek back in. They've seen some troubles. They've seen a few aggressive players peeking back out. They've used the drones to find out those positions, and indeed, we're going to see the E1D charge come out to allow further pressure to just absolutely swing to both Trophy and Statuary. Oxygen relying too heavily on that off-site presence once again leaves the site far too vulnerable, and an easy plant is found for the DWG KIA roster.
Oh, another nade coming out. He knows that he's at the bottom of Astronomy, so he's not only going to hold the stairwell, but the door. The swing coming back through, and ill-advised from Yaga, but he has to do something here. That's the biggest problem. Foxay able to secure one with the Nitro Cell, but it's too little too late in the moment. They need so much more done here, and with Rin on the window, can he get 2? No, Vertical will shut him down as he finds some of his own. And as I said, a lot to do, but Vertical apparently up to the task as he finds Cat saying the angle that they opened up, simply working back towards them, and he gets it with 1 second remaining. Very well done from Vertical. 9 and 3 in the moment, and a saving grace for this defense.
Both of our Trophy Statuary rounds end in a massive clutch. One going into DWG KIA's favor, but Vertical finding revenge and continuing to find a renewed strength for him personally. We talked about how he was the highlight of this team back during Stage 3 of the NAL, but had been slightly absent in the group stage. However, our previous match earlier today and this one shows indeed that he can still frag out here, and in this case, still clutch out too, giving another round into the pocket of Oxygen as they equalize the scoreline one more time, ending the half on a directly tied game, 3-3.
He looks so solid right now, and if there is a player on Oxygen that you wanted to see, I really think you could argue for two of them. You really want to see Laxing popping off, and you really want to see Vertical having some serious influence in this. Obviously, anybody else can throw their hat into the ring if they want to, but that's the two up against a playstyle like this that you expect to get something done. Now, on this map, at least for Oxygen's sake, on the defense, Laxing's in kind of more of a pivotal role when it comes to the site setup, so he really isn't out and about and roaming and doing all of these other things. He's more of a site player in that sense, but for Vertical, he was able to get extremely active in a lot of these scenarios.
We'll see how he tries to continue forward. This is the testing side for Oxygen. This is the one where I will get worried, as I was explaining earlier, especially when it comes to their executes, as they struggled tremendously versus FaZe against that in their first match here for the playoffs yesterday. DWG KIA, though, have had their own series of struggles, and we'll now see how aggressive they're able to play things out now that they're on the defensive side. Certainly will try to do so. This is Villa, after all. But again, time will tell how strong it will ultimately be. Just keep in mind, this is not about that Oxygen like to play into very often. That may cause a false sense of aggression for DWG KIA here, one that Oxygen might be prepared to respond to, as SI is the place where teams often like to surprise with the new maps coming into the pool.
If there was one place to pull out all the stops that you have for your team and break out the strat book that no one's seen, then it would most definitely be here. Oxygen, they are going to be starting things off with a master take. This is so very traditional when it comes to Villa. A lot of teams starting off in this manner. They're going to have Laxing this time around on the IQ, whereas we've seen Vertical running that a little while ago for OXG, but now on over to Gabriel instead. Vertical begin breaking everything up inside of this space, just making some transitions easier through the bathroom area, as they know that this is more than likely going to be contested simply because of the placement of utility, especially around the astronomy space. They know Banshee's here, but are they aware that there's a body inside of Trophy as well? Yas will be playing this one pretty close to the chest with Rin over inside of Statue, and Rin also having some support on the other side of the room. So this could be a full-on bloodbath inside of this space.
Oxygen creep their way forward here, and it's an airstrike from Kano over the top of the reinforcements, knocking out Rin and striking first yet again for Oxygen to start out the second half.
A Predator missile comes through, and it finds a body in the likes of Rin. Now, a minute and 40 for Oxygen to continue this onslaught, but they're moving quite slow at the time, and you can see DK, they just want to simply fall off. Now this is up to Oxygen to realize and recognize what's going on. They need these drones to spin up and find out that all of this is clear, and that's what they're achieving in the moment. Everyone from DWG is back towards site.
Still early days in the round here, so a missed opportunity for Oxygen as they work themselves over towards the site and find it now to be reinforced with a few additional players here, but there was a moment where it was very lightly defended with only one inside of the actual encounter. Now, things are still going to be slowed up a bit for Oxygen, mainly because we still have 90 presence alive for DWG KIA. A player deeper in, but you see that hot ping coming out there. They want to force that player into the depths of the site so that they can take it for themselves here. Not too keen on trying to take the actual engagement in the hallway, and thankfully, I believe the hot ping has worked. I remember of DWG KIA that was out and about, no longer the case. Their nade being primed to go into the inside of Gun Vault, but not really going to catch much here. We do have a mute though, so it could have been to deal with the jammer sitting on the other side of Gun Vault, but you'll see, still, it'll be jammed out once again with another one being present. Oh, that's actually a nice cheeky position to throw it there. One of them can still blow up, but that's not really much of an angle for the members of Oxygen to utilize here, so they will have to look for another avenue to get into the site with very little time remaining. And of course, important to note, another member of DWG KIA still down below on the first floor. That could cause some problems in the execute as well. Might not be needed though. Coded holding strong inside of the site of his own. Foxe does read that crawl out into the open here. 12 seconds remaining as they try to force their way in off of those two picks. Yas rotating himself back up into the site now. Katsang also just waltzing up, doesn't even realize he's got the planner directly in front of him. Can they start it again? Yes, but does Laxing have the overwatch? Because if not, Yas has got the shutdown, but no, never mind. It's Laxing instead to shut it out for Oxygen as they take the first round of the second half.
A sprint from Laxing in through Study saves the life of his teammate that has to stick the plant behind Map's table, and Oxygen able to secure the lead here on the offensive side. John, building up to a pretty interesting point at this moment. Oxygen starting to put some rounds together, not only on the defensive side, but also these offenses not looking too bad. I would say that definitely inside of the mid game, it got a little slow there initially, but again, it's pretty difficult to recognize out when a team fully falls off of a space. You don't just want to walk on in there and be like, oh, they left. We need to drone things out and make sure. So for Oxygen, making sure that they stay on their Qs and Ps and clear out that entire space. Obviously, almost had a big problem with Katsang coming up red, but luckily enough for them, they bounced back.
So Oxygen in control of the lead. The question now becomes for how long, however, as we've been seeing these teams volley back and forth, and this round could be no exception to that. A very difficult site oftentimes for the attackers to handle, with a multitude of different extensions to clear out, whether they're going to be upstairs trying to negate the top-down clearance over by trophy and statuary, or extended across the hallway into living room, with one or two players trying to waste time from that avenue as well. Lots of facets that need to be accounted for here by Oxygen as they try to open up a path of access for themselves for a second time, so could be a nice opportunity for DWG KIA to navigate into their own personal fourth round here and tie us up for at least the third time in this matchup.
Yeah, it feels like this one's going to stay pretty close, I would say, as Oxygen will come back out the gates here. Not a big change up in anything, minus Yaga now bringing in Finka, so we can see some of those adrenal surges utilized, and Yaga also really favoring this op, at least today. We saw him have such a destructive first match, and possibly adding on here as it starts off here for round 8. The IQ of Laxing finding out so much intel as they'll be able to mark things through the building. They'll get rid of the Valkyrie cameras here inside of this space, as that will be the direct counter, and they will make sure that they limit the intel gathering of DWG.
I'm certainly going to try to, but it's going to take them a moment here, as there's good pressure from DWG KIA still upstairs in the trophy statuary area, and they're a little bit worried of that right now. There's not a huge need to fear, I don't believe. It's mainly on the top-down angles that they need to be cautious of more than anything here, and Vertical has actually started to play into that a little bit himself as he finally finds safe harbor to leap into walk-in here and start clearance, more than likely leading to, oh man, the timing on that one. Vertical, if he stuck around for just a second longer, okay, never mind. He goes right back to it, and Coded will oblige, so Vertical given the opening kill after all, even though it looked like he missed the opportunity a few seconds prior.
And Vertical 10-4 at the moment, more than a 2.0 KD here in round 8 and more than a 1.0 KPR. Truly insane at the moment and desperately needed up against a team with so much kill presence like Damwon Gaming. Yeah, going up breaking the window here for Mudroom as they continue to try and find these DWG members. Boogeyman on the Oryx. Playing around the Astro area, but DWG, they're just losing so many bodies at this moment. Yet another one to fall. Kino will find Katsang, and already this round looking very bleak, and we haven't even reached the last minute.
Don't even really take any serious damage, it looks like, on the side of Oxygen either, as they all have the boost up from the Finkas right now. It looks like Kino managed to take a bullet or two, but that's about it, as everybody else has been juiced up to full due to that adrenal surge. Plant goes down, which you should pretty much expect at this point. And look at this, the top-down pressure is still harassing the heck out of the members, remaining members, I should say, of DWG KIA here. Rin sneaks back over and is able to catch the Astro player as Yaga tries to creep over towards Mudroom after descending here. Rin now left alone and cannot find another duel to win out as Kino shuts down that last member of the team and secures a third consecutive round for OXG, allowing them to not only take the lead, but for the first time in this map, taking advantage of more than one round as well.
Thus far, a flawless offensive side from Oxygen, where time and time again they have been able to find these opening picks and deal some serious damage to DWG. DWG now no timeout just yet. Instead, they'll go to AVG here and see what they can get done. And actually, as soon as I say that, we do indeed get the tactical timeout. I'm assuming it's from this side. We'll be confirming, and yes, it will be. I assumed it was coming in at some time. They don't want to let Oxygen obviously get to match point, so this is a perfect time for Hound to call us out.
Yeah, it's going to be a run being made for Oxygen now, and one that I don't really think DWG KIA expected to see over the course of this map, especially not on Oxygen's attacking side. So they have to get a grasp on this fairly quickly, and they're going to have their coach coming in, providing some input as to how exactly they might be able to stop that here. They'll be returning to another AVG hold, so some easy adjustments can be made. Keep in mind, they played it very out in the open, but even so, they fell back after losing their initial extension towards Trophy and Statuary, with one player being lost there, and still the 5v4 with everyone from DWG KIA in sight still worked out quite flawlessly for Oxygen, only losing one or two players over the course of of that round to trade. So the solution for DWG KIA, it's not exactly clear just yet. Extra aggression might be the way to go here, but their players giving a lot of respect over to Oxygen, even though they're having those aggressive positions, might make this a little hard to justify in the midst of the round itself.
And whatever it is, hopefully it's a team effort, because the biggest thing right now is that DWG are being found in a lot of areas where Oxygen are able to just secure a frag and not have to deal with any repercussions from it. That's the big thing right now, is a lot of not mispositioning, but just Oxygen discovering these solo players and able to secure the kill that way. So if there's any way to mitigate that, hopefully that's exactly what they discussed. They will be changing up sites as we go back over to AVG here and see if a different site could possibly help DWG in finding a successful defense.
Oxygen seem a lot more sure of themselves too on this attack here. DWG KIA not providing enough obscurity, not enough late round disruption. They're able to slow down the attacks from Oxygen like we were seeing in the FaZe game yesterday morning. So at the moment, OXG just being allowed to proceed exactly as they would like to on both of the attacking rounds here. Let's now see if DWG KIA has a new plan to get in the way of that. Certainly looking to delay things, as we'll see the Electric Claws brought back in to try and lead out some more of this time, relying mainly just on Mute Jammers to do it previously, but as you guys probably noticed, Mute has been swapped out entirely, so I'll be using Woogieman's utility as the main method of utility delay.
Electric Claws out, as you said. I'm going to have a Nitro Cell with that kit as well, as I'll be the only one brought to light here for DWG. We'll have some smokes uncoded for some denial as well, and other things along the lines to not only slow, but also get rid of some throwables on the Oxygen side. Still have Laxing on the IQ, so we'll be able to discover some of this intel, or rather utility on this end. So he's trying to get rid of one of the discs, but simply can't find it. There's a lot of cheeky spots to put your utility here, and that's going to be one of them, as I just said. When it comes to Villa, there's so many different locations where you can put things, and they're just really, really hard to try and get from the outside of the building. Oxygen already working their way in, or at least for Kino, he's inside of the master closet at the moment. He'll get a drone out here and try and discover as to what more is going on inside of the site. He'll find one here inside of Statue as the pressure starts to work its way in.
Again, the rest of Oxygen, a slow roll here, and there's going to be a pre-placed Nitro to try and catch the early breach against the trophy wall here, rather the statuary wall. They'll have the Siren Call for that once the Electric Law is taken care of to possibly throw that Nitro back out, but no Fish gonna fall into the trap just as of yet. Yaga will be the first to fall this time though, as Yas swings back in. So does Rin. Look at this aggression coming out from DWG KIA, working flawlessly as he catches Vertical and Laxing as well. Beautifully played from Yas, and that's it. OXG are stunted, down to only Foxe now in a 1v4. He's gonna rush into the site before the rest of DWG KIA can rotate back in themselves, but they've already arrived for the most part here, and he still hasn't caught the members back by trophy, meaning Yas is gonna get one more kill added to the counter here. A perfect response finally being brought in here for the South Koreans, and with that, they will pick up their first round on the second half.
The extended hold working out this time around for DWG, so they don't get blown sky high. Instead, it's Yas finding 3 huge kills that were desperately needed to put Oxygen 6 feet under there for round 9. Round 10 right around the corner, and what's the site choice going to be? Do we go downstairs, DWG? No, we do not. It's going to be Trophy Statuary instead. Yas is going to get rid of the Oryx and move on over to a Thunderbird for some more HP for these defenders. We'll still have the Kaid in for Woogieman to make sure that they can keep these walls locked up, and, well, everything else in between to not only slow them down, but also mitigate any plants from going on, as well as some throwables coming in for Rin's sake. No big change-ups when it comes to Oxygen's side.
So Trophy Statuary play means that DWG KIA can approach the early round in very similar ways to what we just saw back on round number 9. OXG will have their work cut out for them, and that's saying it lightly here, as they're going to have to look for a few new ways to work their way in. Also see a little bit of the pre-opening of the top-down angles here just by the statuary wall that will allow a player to sit downstairs here, waste time, and potentially chuck in some impacts as well. Katzing's already used one of his, so only one potential stoppage can come out from them over the course of this round. But we also do have 2 Nitros if they really want to get desperate and try and bleed out that utility. That is an option too.
Yeah, this is a certified Siege classic right here, as we usually see some bodies down low when it comes to this strategy, but one that I haven't seen utilized in a little while, but definitely as effective as any other if they're able to pull it off. The biggest thing for Oxygen is they have to really make sure that no one's downstairs when trying to apply their utility, because it's not really the fact of, well, I mean, obviously if they had a Thermite, it would influence things a little bit more, but they really need to just make sure that this utility ability goes down, and they don't lose any of that in that situation. You really shouldn't be stepping over those holes in the first place as an offender without anybody knowing what's going down inside of Kitchen. For DWG, though, they've pressured a couple of different spaces inside of this one. Gonna have Ren all the way over inside of Plains, holding on to things for a time. Have a Thunderbird down low with that Nitro Cell prepped for the 90 window here. Tape already ripped on that, so if Yas ends up securing that, you know where that one came from. Oxygen will begin clearing out this end of the map. Not too much to worry about for the time being.
Minute gone from the round, and not a whole lot accomplished here so far for Oxygen. Nitro chucked out there by DWG KIA's Yas, and it nearly is able to get a member of OXG. However, not only does the shot miss, the shot's a return from the top side, nearly leading to the death of Yas instead as he goes down lower and will now have to back up, probably play a little bit closer to his teammates here due to the relatively low HP. But keep in mind, of course, on the Thunderbird, those Kona stations are available, with another one just being plopped down onto the ground. He was keeping one in his pocket, so he'll actually be pretty close. Yep, with the boost up coming in right there to full HP, and can now reignite his own aggressive capabilities as he actually will move them around quite a bit here.
That's going to be yet another Kona station able to heal him up here in just a split second, and Yas will be back at full HP, and there you go. Maxed out for the time being. Slow moving offense now for Oxygen, but they found some map control all in the process. Yaga working his way up through that 90 window rappel like we saw before. Currently sitting on Skull Door. Just going to drone out the site and see if he can try and work his way in through benches with Kino. A nade out will get rid of the initial Banshee here for Concrete, but is there one closer to the door? That's what he's thinking to himself as he moves inside of this space, but the smoke's starting to come out for DWG. Able to pressure inside of Master as well. That could be worrisome to Oxygen's offense as they haven't been able to find a singular frag here going into the last 38 seconds. They're back to drones now and trying to find some extra insight as to what's going on. Droning out down low to see if there is anybody still inside of this space, but luckily it's only Yas who's currently over inside of the red hallway. He'll get discovered from Laxing inside of Mud, but not before Katsang refrags onto Foxday. We're still at an equal man advantage here, but with minimal time, Oxygen have to hop to. A frag grenade in here for the bomb chassis. It'll get rid of the shield and Rin will go down. This is going to open up this entire site, but DWG, they fight back in convincing way as well. It's down to Laxing. He'll find one, but now before Katsang strikes true, and the defense will stand tall.
That uncertainty coming in again for Oxygen here. Way too detached of a push. So many players trying to make so many different plays in the dying seconds of the round, and no one really being met with too much success. Yeah, one or two kills being found from there, but the problem is DWG KIA are working as a unit in that situation, whereas everybody on Oxygen seems to be off taking care of their own responsibilities and not really supporting each other, not able to trade off of each other due to the low time and the still huge checklist of things that they need to accomplish just to get themselves into the site and get a case on the round, leaving the floodgates open for a very swift response from DWG KIA and a very one-sided round as they equalize the equation one more time. 2 rounds for OXG, now 2 rounds in response for Damwon Gaming, and we are right back where we started here at 5-5 with only a few rounds left in regulation.
Now this is where things get scary for Oxygen, especially because of the track record that we've been talking about here at SI. They haven't been able to close out games. That's been the biggest thing. They're able to get these leads, but then when it gets to the tail end of the map, they just cannot find these big rounds that they desperately need, and it looks like this is happening yet again here. The biggest thing to remind you guys about is when that tack pause does happen, even though DWG called it, Oxygen still are able to talk to their coach too. They can talk to Hopes and see what's going on, what they need to do going forward, all of these things. So in a certain sense, it can obviously assist the opponent as well, but obviously DWG getting a lot more traction out of that than Oxygen did.
So with Oxygen out on the board, we'll take a quick look at how exactly they're going to try and proceed inside of the early round. Here, first floor hold, so not going to be too complicated to set themselves up for the actual assault, but they do need to clear out the second floor extension, as you generally might expect on these sites here. So a quick leap for Oxygen to try and work themselves into Master. That'll be the first point of control they'll try to take for themselves before attempting to shift over towards the kitchen site down below here. Obviously, DWG KIA will have players in position to respond to this too, but you actually don't know exactly where they're going to be, nor how aggressive they will try to play against this Master take, especially with the walk-in being split up quite a bit there already. Vertical, though, walks in right in, and Yas is none the wiser to it. Apparently a second kill possibly in the future for OXG. Hot pings on the player by the Astro stairs, but they're not going to stick around, at least not immediately. Wookieeman will still stay to contest, possibly at the bottom of the staircase, but for the time being, OXG will be able to bank in that opening kill they got against Yes.
Very scary stuff here for Verticals. They have no intel to bottom this stairwell, so it's all down to the game sense. Who's smarter in the moment? Does Woogieman find the timing as they continue to stare back and forth at this stairwell? As for the rest of Oxygen, they'll continue to try and find some extra insight into this. Yaga's actually holding the window right now for Skull with Foxay outside of Master Balcony here. Laxing going to apply a drone towards the top of Study here. This is always a solid one, or rather towards the top of Astro here. This is always a solid one in order to get some extra info for you on that flank if necessary. DK, though, they've made their way downstairs and they'll be holding on to this for a time.
Oxygen still bleeding down. All this extra time remaining in the bank, really capitalizing on the early kill they've gotten for themselves to truly analyze the situation and, of course, allow more time for Vertical. Try and open up the top-down angles and flood players from DWG KIA out of their normal positions. And this plan will work to a limited degree of success. Foxay strikes true, but Vertical a little bit too haphazard with his clear over by the soft breach in between the two sites. And the timing on that unpeak from Rin. So unfortunate as Yaga is able to find the kill there instead. And now another member of DWG KIA getting caught on the cross. Katsang trying to creep back into the site. This is a slow but steady bleed in the favor of Oxygen. And there's not really a whole lot Koda can do to stop it now. Finds the first response kill, but 3 more need to be found here, and it will not even get close. Laxing shuts it out. And it will be Oxygen to chase in map point first here as they go up to 6, but only 1 opportunity will be given to them to shut it down in regulation as DWG KIA sit a single round behind them.
Such a difficult fight there for DWG, especially given the fact that Oxygen got vertical control so very quickly inside of that one, and they were allowed to just work the map at a pretty even pace, drone things out, make sure that they don't misstep. The biggest one there obviously being Vertical getting taken out, simply because Rin knows that they're more than likely going to sledge that single panel wall. Just very good predictability coming out from Rin and great game sense there. Obviously ends up going to the wayside once he rotates over towards Mudroom, but either way, it's going to be a attack pause here for OXG as they did, yes, indeed end up winning that last round, but still feel as though they have something to talk about here. They do not want to miss their mark on closing out this map.
This is where they got tripped up on the last assault here. Once again, just 2 rounds in a row there being found for the DWG KIA camp due to the indecision and the inability for OXG to be able to locate clean entry capability there, slowing them down too much and, again, leaving those floodgates open for DWG KIA to quickly just shut them down without too much of a risk being taken by themselves. So one is going to be the plan of assault. Will they try to put more pressure on the Study side, which you weren't really seeing? OXG have been favoring almost entirely north to south clears, taking control of TNS and then moving down from there. But still, plenty of options open, plenty of capability, as we have seen in these past few rounds for Oxygen, to shut this down outright. However, if that's not going to occur, if they will fail to find success in an entry point into this site for a second time in a row, that'll fall into DWG KIA's favor and activate our overtime. The 3 additional rounds here to decide our true victor for the map.
All right, so AVG is the selection for DWG Gaming, as we have seen them time and time again try and hold towards the north here over inside of Master and slow down Oxygen's take, where they've actually been able to deal some serious damage towards the DWG camp. We'll have to see if it goes down this way yet again, as Katsang will start pressuring, or rather rotating that way. Not really any pressure in the current moment. But yeah, they'll end up rotating over there and applying some utility to the space, getting the triple wall reinforced, and just begin their site setup overextended towards this Master side. See how long DWG can possibly make their stand here, and if they can possibly secure a big kill to start us off and try and push us towards overtime. Obviously, Yaga's going to be a knock for this one, so we'll be able to rotate in a certain sense, undetected, as he's more than likely going to start things off downstairs.
Yaga will go for the initial clear in through the basement here, and he's got the Nook as well. Yep.
Tried to go for the cheeky one, but
I'm just going to pop it open.
It is what it is.
Misses it by a slight margin there. So he'll keep Overwatch for a second just in case anyone from DWG KIA managed to notice that breach. I'd say it's probably a low chance, to be honest with you, considering we're on a second floor hold, and Yog should still have the relative amount of obscurity in his pocket here. But quickly creep up through pantry, giving him access to kitchen. And again, you guys can see from the silhouettes, everything is pretty much open here at this point. Not going to be too much in terms of blockading, and the drone directly in front of him is going to confirm that as he continues a path forward here. Has himself on the Held Presence Eliminator as well, which is going to hide him from that default camera just behind him in case anybody was wondering why he might have not shot that out.
Well, the most interesting thing to tell you guys about right now is that there's not a single member of DWG inside of the site. There's nobody home. I'm staring at it right now with the top down. They might rotate somebody back in. Yeah, Coded's top main, but he wasn't even there previously. There wasn't anyone near this space. They have everyone out and about trying to slow down OXG, and Yaga able to find Ren as he tries to hop over into red. That's going to be a huge kill here to start them off, but now obviously aware that there is a knock in play. Katsang continuing to try and hold on to Statuary, and this could be an ill-advised peek if this goes awry. So many crosses happening in the moment, and Kino just simply not able to land any shots.
Damwon KIA have been called back now after they've lost a player and half the HP on a second one. Can no longer afford to risk this due to the fact that, again, OXG have had plenty of opportunity to drone this out. They more than likely would have realized the site is open for the taking and can very easily call an audible to rotate their players out of north side and in through study to take that control too, with only one member of Damwon KIA blocking off the access point from that direction here. This is where Damwon KIA has had a lot more success in wasting time, though. It's just their static hold inside of the site, and we can already see that becoming evident as OXG slowly creep up on the 90 angle and are able to take control for themselves, but after a significant delay here, still with quite a few of them held up over by the connectors and trophy, and on the approach towards 90 here. 45 seconds left, and OXG are nowhere near ready to work their way into the site. This could become problematic very, very quickly, especially if they're not able to get drones in proper positions to figure out where the final stands are going to be for Damwon KIA. That doesn't even consider Katsang's lurk still going on down the first floor too.
This is what this defensive strategy is all about. It's about delaying time and forcing the opponent into a low time execute, and it's worked out flawlessly thus far. Kino now looking for some presence down low, but doesn't find anything through the metal bars. Knows someone has to be working their way through bookshelf. No shots landed on either side as Foxy will go down. Vertical with some more damage, and Yas will be able to shut down Yaga. A swing here from Yas as he'll get taken out by Kino, but the shots being landed from DWG. It's a 2v2 with 4 seconds remaining. No case in anybody's hand as they'll just all go prone, and we're headed to overtime.
Just again, nowhere near enough pressure working its way into the site in that dying minute or so for the Oxygen roster. They have no problem whatsoever clearing out the extended play where there's not enough utility to support it, but it's like OXG are scared to challenge the utility directly time after time again, and they give so much of a time bank over there trying to figure out a proper path into the site that ultimately they're just forced to go for it, leaving them fairly exposed to the refrags that would come out from the Insight players.
It's very interesting that we didn't see Oxygen try and change up anything in their offense when it came to that strategy.
They did, but it took them like a 45 seconds to even put anybody over towards like south side push, like over towards study and whatnot.
Yes, but like once you understand that like the triple wall's going up and you're seeing the utility set up on the same side over inside of Trophy and Statuary, you know that extended hold's coming through. You should have cutoff drones to know when the information's coming back, and you should also have insight into the actual site to know, hey, there's one guy playing top main, and that's literally it. That's the biggest thing there, is that Oxygen, they walk into Damwon KIA's defensive setup. They did exactly what they wanted them to do, and that's why that worked out for them. So much time delayed, Oxygen can't do anything. They can't push under the site in any convincing way because they haven't dealt with the utility. It's just extremely unfortunate at the time because they really didn't change up anything. Once again, in their offensive strategy, it was just the same push into the same area with Yaga trying to clear out down low this time, and he finds a kill on the roam. But DWG are still allowed to fall back, and Oxygen still takes the same amount of time to clear out that space while they're trying to get into AVG.
I know, folks, your eyes do not deceive you. There's a big problem for Oxygen in that they have to go for that same attack immediately after they just whiffed it. As we're heading into overtime now, meaning the site locks have been reset. Damwon KIA gets the start on defense, so they can go right back to the same site where things have been going swimmingly for them, especially from a late round perspective. Unless OXG can find a way to abuse Damwon KIA further in the early round, the prospects look very bleak right now, and the possibility for Damwon KIA to steal the lead away is looking strong.
Please set a cutoff, Oxygen. That's what we need to see here. We need to see them deal some damage to DWG, force them back into their opposition. There is some bodies over here, and yes, the team effort being fantastic, but we definitely need to see them try and get some more dastardly things done to this defensive strategy. There's definitely holes in this plot that you can indeed abuse. DK, though, this has been working out flawlessly thus far, and it will continue to do so. Still have the reinforcement here, played for Yas as he'll hold the cross for Bathroom. Plenty of yellow pings coming out as well from both sides to see what they can possibly do with this space. For Oxygen, Kind of a delay in the moment as they try and find some extra intel in the area. Yaga will be able to hold on to Skull Door here as Woogieman trying to challenge it back. It obviously will be able to pre-fire in through the bench's wall as well. Frag grenade, I do believe, going out, but it ends up getting caught up by the disc at the bottom of the windowsill instead. And John, they've wasted half the round.
Yeah, so much time being bled away here. And again, OXG cannot seem to find a quick way to get access to any of these extensions for DWG KIA, let alone clear them out. DWG KIA are just sitting on easy street right now, and in fact, they feel satisfied enough here. Rin will eventually fall, but that's a tale we've seen happen time and time again. That is not going to be the siren call for the end of the round here, let alone any success for Oxygen. Kino loses a lot of his HP from that fight, and keep in mind, of course, Ya still has presence inside of Trophy that has yet to have been dealt with too. If they don't drone him out, they don't account for this, he can still cause some serious problems.
Oh no,
the drone wanders right past. Might have looped back around, but oh my goodness, he's gonna go full control on this one. Does correct it quickly after a moment of pondering whether there was going to be a second player coming through, and thankfully OXG get their hands on the wheel pretty quick too by immediately exchanging that back out. They hold the player advantage, but only by +1, and once again are only approaching the assault on this site with minimal time remaining, only coming into the half of the map with about 35 seconds left, so they have no time to clear out the interior site setup, let alone properly drone the positions, as you can see here, of the members of DWG KIA. Their utility is going to get snatched up here for the reasons I just mentioned.
Won't finally be able to get rid of that Banshee, but with only 20 seconds remaining, DWG, have they done it yet again here for the AVG setup? Yaga will rotate over towards Study, but they still have bookshelf control. Cat Sang now being pressured. Yaga down inside of Study. They know where this push is coming from, and DWG Gaming, they've getting so much damage dealt inside of this situation. The case down, and that's going to be the defensive round once again for DWG. All of that delay working right into their open arms as they take yet another defense.
It's close, but again, not enough early pressure from Oxygen. The push is not happening early enough in the round to play it out in the fragging way that they want to there by just brute forcing their way in. If they want to play like that, they've got to do it. They've got to make that final push with 30 seconds left on the clock, not 10. And maybe they'll have a chance to back up and reinsert in a situation like this, where Coded could simply, pick up the first trade, and he's at risk of dying for the second one. But with literally less than a second on the clock, he can just dash away, and assuming he dodges that, he will win the round.
AVG, the selection for OXG now, as Mute will go to the wayside and Valkyrie will be adopted into the lineup. As for everything else, it's pretty rudimentary when it comes to this one. The Malusi will still come in for OXG, but more than likely it won't be going for an extended hold here. It'll probably be all on to site as we'd seen previously. For DWG Gaming, though, they've got some interesting pieces to the puzzle here, specifically the Nomad coming in for Woogieman to make sure that they can lock up this flank and prevent Oxygen from getting anything done in a meaningful way if they do want to end up playing a player down low. They will obviously have an opportunity to prevent things still with some nitro cells if they so choose, so could see that info game come in later on to bite DWG Gaming. But now, only 15 seconds left in the prep phase. We're on the precipice of seeing if they can possibly close this out after running up so many rounds on that defensive half.
The nightmare is over for Oxygen, but only for one round. Will they get a moment's sleep? As after this one, they will, assuming they're even able to close this one down, have to return back onto the attacking side and have to deal with that same set of issues yet again. Members of DWG KIA, they too will have their work cut out for them, however, as they struggle to put on their attacking sides themselves, as they're now trying to work past another basic setup from Oxygen on the inside of their AVG hold. We'll be sticking around here for quite some time as both teams feel quite confident in their plays here. Cameras out and about for Fox A's. He's placed those, peppered them, you could say, across the map, and trying to see where exactly DWG KIA are going to try to go for their initial control. Looks fairly similar, as we're actually going to have quite a bit of presence. I'll correct myself, never mind. I thought we were seeing a north take, but I misread the silhouettes. It's looking like, again, Study and main stair is the way to go for DWG KIA, as they'll take a much more direct route into the site.
Well, they have to be aware that Kano's going to be playing the angle there for the main stairs, but past that, this will more than likely look extremely similar to what we had been seeing before. And yes, indeed, Cat going to come right through the wall, so we'd seen the last time, and more than likely some frag grenades to be delivered to the floor directly above them here in just a moment. Yaga will be able to continue to hold on to Bookshelf for a time, but we're still early days here inside of the round as we haven't even gotten to the halfway mark. You also use that Gemini to see if he can discover anything up the stairwell. Not too much just yet. Obviously checking for the angles up top there like we discussed before as well. But obviously with no frag grenades, nothing too much to worry about. Katsang's going to go fishing, but won't be able to find much inside of the space.
Katsang up on top of main stairs here, so DWG KIA have cleared out the initial positions for Oxygen as they've fallen back into the site and are going to just waste the time down from there. No north presence, so that leaves a lot of rotate capability open for OXG, in addition to pressure that they could throw out from 90. As DWG KIA, of course, are going to want to try and pressure from the bar door as well, as they more than likely won't be able to get an adequate number of openings into this 90 wall setup here. Flashes go over. Nade to follow that one back up just in case there was any ADSs blocking that access point. Yeah, this is actually going to get the nades wandering a little bit too close to him, so I'll back away from that just for safety's sake. And here we go. The X-Kairos being chucked back in. We are going to see as well the X-Kairos come out. Yas's nade lands true, however, against Yogg, and we're going to see these X-Kairos get eaten up quite nicely. One full pellet pack going away there. The rest are used, and they aren't able to get a successful opening, but it's a lot smaller than they would have liked. Good overwatch from Katsang, though, as he nearly catches Foxe trying to swing out from Study, leaving him at low HP, and open for Rin to finish him off as he now enters in from the north side.
This is the dagger that they needed. Oh my god, Rin! Kino able to finally take down Yas, but can Rin find him? Impacts the wall, Kino slaps him inside a 90. Oxygen making a grandstand at the moment. Kino can't land some important shots. It's a 3v2 for DWG Gaming. Woogieman to take down Laxing, and Kino falls. DWG Gaming take their map in such a convincing way in overtime.
A massive advantage being given over to Oxygen to start out the second half as I got onto their attacks, but again, that issue of the instability, their indecision to get into the site, and their incapability, I should say, to clear out interior site setups comes back to bite them again here as DWG KIA bleed out the time round after round to make a comeback happen and trigger overtime, and then play it out flawlessly inside of OT. 8-6 is the final scoreline for map number 1, and now DWG KIA have a 1-0 lead, and Oxygen, after surviving earlier today versus M&M, are up against the wall facing possible elimination themselves if they don't come back in map number 2.
I honestly cannot believe what I'm seeing with my eyes here. The amount of times that we saw Oxygen with some very serious capabilities inside of the round to get something done, especially on a lot of those AVG offenses, it just simply wasn't happening. They're more than likely going to go back to the drawing board on that one. They're definitely going to want Villa back, as well, that was DWG's pick, but it looked like Oxygen's map initially, but you could say that about a lot of their maps at this land so far. Fortunately enough for them, they are not eliminated just yet. That was only map 1 inside of our best of 3, guys. We still have Coastline up next.
Coastline coming up, they're going to provide a lot more freedom to the Oxygen members, both on the attacking and defensive sides there. We saw them getting forced into claustrophobic positions a little bit. Again, though, there's still going to be a lot of scenarios, such as, again, you're trying to push, for instance, into hookah billiards, where you get stuck outside of Aqua, and you can waste out a lot of time there if the defense is playing out their smoke utility properly. Things like the holdover by service inside of Kitchen as well. Lots of examples here where the same issues that have been plaguing Oxygen on their attacks could be abused once more by DWG KIA on that map as well. So the fact that it's going to be Oxygen's map pick does not move them out of the hot seat just yet here. Lots of work, lots of corrections need to be made, or we could be facing a 2-0, forcing through the South Koreans to another wave here in the lower bracket and knocking out yet another North American team. We're going to go to a quick break, ladies and gentlemen, and when we return, we'll have Coastline between these two teams. once again, ladies and gentlemen. Oxygen sat at the precipice of stealing map number 1, their opponent's map choice away from them, but failed to follow through. This issue's been plaguing them all throughout the tournament and could potentially lead to their elimination if they don't course correct very quickly. It's now a lead for DWG KIA at 1-0 in their favor, and if they can close out on Oxygen's map pick coming up here, they're going to be looking at a successful 2-0 survival victory, moving them further into the lower bracket and knocking one of our first North American teams out of the tournament. Here's the stats from map number 1 in the meanwhile here. It's a relatively team affair for DWG KIA as everyone stepped up to the plate at some point inside of that matchup. The stats fairly close, but meanwhile over on OXG, Yaga, I want to point him out specifically, had a great start to that matchup there, especially inside of the entry department, but fell off hugely as we got deeper into the matchup.
Yes, indeed. And for Oxygen, that was a lot of what we saw going on. A very unfortunate affair, especially when it came to a lot of their offenses. It started off strong, but as soon as DWG calls the timeout, John, everything falls to pieces. We see some very serious contributions from DWG past that, 4 rounds in a row secured, and a dub as well on their map choice of Villa. Now, where you sit here waiting for Coastline to start, and between Oxygen and DWG KIA.
See DWG KIA ready to go, ready to assault once again, and their coach giving in some insight in the final moments before they work their way in, and his mic will unfortunately be cut away as he won't be able to talk to them in the middle of the round, so we'll have to save that for when the pause is called, if we end up getting one, of course. Oxygen look very, very focused, but certainly a bit scared about the potential outcome from this one. They know that that was not the result they wanted to look for inside of that match, and they know as well they need to rebound quickly, so they are focused up, they are serious. And now it's time, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting ourselves into map number 2, so let's see if DWG KIA can get it done, or if they'll have to fight for territory on map number 3.
It's been a hard-fought match in between these two so far, but Oxygen want to start with the right foot forward. DWG Gaming is going to choose the offensive side here for Coastline, which has been insanely strong here on this map the entirety of this tournament. Twitch will end up being banned out from Oxygen, just awaiting one more here, at least for the offensive side. It's going to be an OSA ban coming in from DWG, and honestly, I love to see this. OSA has been a pretty rudimentary operator that we've been seeing worked into this map specifically to assist in a lot of different ways. You can put these OSA shields on hookah balcony. You can also use them to get some pretty cheeky plants inside of billiards. There's a lot of different applications for these shields that people are finding, and well, at least for DWG, seeing it as a little bit too influential. I'll get rid of it, as well as Mira and Valkyrie to follow suit.
So it was a specific target ban against Oxygen. They were the team that was kind of abusing it the most when we saw it back in the group stage, this map coming up there. Oxygen able to use it quite proficiently, especially get aqua plants going against hookah billiards. That's where it worked out the best for them there. So DWG KIA just not wanting to deal with that, not wanting to have to shake up their own operator selections to bring more impacts in to possibly deal with that. This will give them a little bit more comfortability and a bit more freedom in terms of their picks for those sites here to play into their own strategy. They will not be on the defensive start, however, so we won't see that come into effect until the second half here. Instead, it's going to be Oxygen that take the defensive side start, as they'll be going for a kitchen and service hold on the first round.
And obviously, that also means that Thatcher will not be banned away, so Woogie will be running that for the time. Ren also going to 6-pick away from the Finca and pick up Flores instead. Flores with his Rotero drones will be getting all of these harder to reach spaces that utility usually ends up getting grabbed by ADSs or things along those lines, since the Rotero drone is explosive and only can be nabbed up by mute jammers as well as Mozzie pests. This makes it a lot easier in order to get rid of some defensive utility. So we'll see how strong Rin can possibly be with those drones. Past that, Coded will be bringing in the Aces. Ace works out so very well for these situations. Usually not the primary hard breach when it comes to it, but Coastline doesn't need a primary hard breacher. And also with that AK-12, giving it to somebody like Code, it is definitely a very strong kit to have at your disposal. I'm getting some drones spun up and set up around the space here to see if they can get some early insight into Oxygen. No real destruction here of the blue wall just yet. We will be having a kitchen defense here for OXG, and really nothing too big to talk about. Obviously, the Aruni will be coming in, so they'll have to worry about the laser gates, but everything else making quite a bit of sense to the overall strategy.
as DWG KIA work their way out onto the map. It's going to be the slow build-up as usual here. Those Rotero drones swinging in. I think that first one actually getting shot out by the pump inside of the site. Kino being able to dispatch 1 out of 4 of those, but more are going to work their way in soon in a moment or two. Start to see them being deployed a little bit more safely, though, as that first one's going to go off and actually deletes a surprisingly small amount of the utility inside of here. I think it only got 2 ADSs. There's still a third one hiding up in the corner on top of the Banshee, so props to Oxygen for some good placement on that to minimize the amount that would get taken out by a single one of those Rotero drones.
And that initial Rotero drone going a little bit too wide there. Don't necessarily know why Rin felt the need to drive it all the way in towards Kegs, but maybe he saw some utility back there that they really wanted to get rid of. Finally able to find that Banshee that I thought they were going to grab the first time around, but luckily enough they'll do it now instead. But still have to worry about one of the laser gates as well as an ADS in this space that they'll have to clear out. And obviously only having 1 set of nades, this is going to mean quite a bit. You want to see this burned with something else, more than likely the Gemini clone coming out of Yas as DK start to take control of the top floor.
Boogeyman taking that little bit of damage. Aside from that, though, both teams just trying to posture against each other inside of the early round here. No one wanting to go out on an island so early on just yet. Fox8 will be creeping forward, though, to try and abuse any roof positions that have still been maintained by DWG KIA, but as you guys can see at home, not a whole lot of that right now, so Fox8 will continue to maintain luggage positioning until, of course, he gets spotted out by a drone, which will then send him with his tail tucked between his legs further back, closer to the rotation point over at the Cool Vibe stairs. Gotta be careful, of course, as he crosses VIP. Rin has the cutoff for this if he goes a little bit too deep over into Billiards there, in the normal hold position when this is the site played, so has to be careful for that, but even Rin doesn't seem too confident to maintain this position himself here, so that's going to be a bit of a stalemate as we enter the final minute of the round with DWG KIA not having made a lot of forward momentum, struggling with that same issue here of clearing out the extended play from Oxygen, and then having to work their way into the site here. So Oxygen still sits with a very confident hold inside, specifically their kitchen play possibility for DWG KIA to sneak their way in through service, but for the most part, not looking too confident here as they now try to swing in and take front lobby control with only 30 seconds left.
Oh, a beautiful shot from Woogieman to take down Laxing. Fox8 already taken some earlier damage as well, but with very low time, this is working out swell for Oxygen. Vertical's made his way into Courtyard and has the possibility of finding some frags, but now being pressured from so many different spaces, the kills now coming into the blue camp. Woogieman starting to push himself forward, but that's case control down. It's down to just Fox8 on white stairs, but can they get the case picked back up? They can indeed. Yas will hold on to it. Rin on the overwatch here as Fox8 is trying to prevent. Yas will be able to secure this, and this might be a DWG round, although it was so very slow boiling initially. Rin to double back outside and find Fox8 at the main Lamborghini doorway.
The cheeky run out is read way in advance there. Foxy's gonna get clothesline, stopping his clutch attempt before it even really gets started. DWG KIA, a confident win, all things considered, leading up to that dying point in the round. Their Oxygen giving over far too much respect, holding themselves back, assuming that their utility, if anything, would have bled out the remaining time on the clock. Big mistake as DWG KIA are able to make it work in their favor instead and pick up that first round through that mistake.
And once it comes down to low time, you really want to see Oxygen use that man count to try and nip it in the bud.
Bully them a little bit. You know?
Exactly. You want to see them set these guns on fire and just start trying to take some fights, but we don't see any of that. They simply sit still and see what DWG want to do next. Maybe they can get some cutoffs, maybe they can do this, maybe they can do that, but we saw how that worked out for Vertical especially. There's so many people around him, it's just making his head spin. He has no idea which side to possibly challenge, and he gets shot in the back from lobby, even though he knows the presence is there. It's just extremely unfortunate for Oxygen in that moment because these defensive rounds, I mean, they're worth their weight in gold when you can get them on Coastline.
So, big mistake from Oxygen, and now they're going to shift perspective away from Kitchen, which, to be fair, is a bit of an overextension for some teams. They don't always play into that as their go-to sites. This may have just been Oxygen testing the waters for the first round and seeing how strong they could possibly hold positioning. Now we're going to fall into one where things are going to be a lot more straightforward here, as it'll be on the Hookah Billiards hold for Oxygen next. Mute Jammers to block off the intel for the top Cool Vibes area, which is going to become an anchor point for Oxygen to play into, and further emphasis on the usual positions, especially over here behind the couches at Spall Bar inside of Billiards.
For Dan 1, they feel as though Flores, yeah, he got some stuff done, but for Rin, the Finca might actually end up assisting just a little bit more. The initial drone gone and possibly some intel coming in, yes indeed, but it's right around the corner. Fantastic angle here from Rin. Could possibly find anybody. Nobody able to rotate back into Billiards any longer with this LMG just lying in wait. As Ren will more than likely be holding this for a time. This is such a pivotal position to hold on this site, but the only thing that you need to worry about is somebody possibly rotating into Sunrise. But again, this is a professional team, so they should definitely have that covered with a drone or something of the sort. They'll continue to hold on to this space as Ren just saw the barrel of that MP5 peeking out from behind the wall as he simply awaits the arrival of an Oxygen member.
So a minute gone from the round, and again, not going to see a whole lot happening here. That has been the way this series has generally played out so far, so no huge surprises there. But Rin, man, not moving an inch on this lurk here until, of course, we get the hot ping. That's going to force Yogg and at least one other member of Oxygen out of position, and Rin will capitalize on it in a huge way, knocking out Yaga with no damage returned. As clean as it can be here on the opener, and as well some top-down EMP charges coming out there as we'll see a rare Thatcher pick come into the fold here. They were hoping it would have taken care of all the ADSs, but there was one more snuck away on Cool Vibes that does save Kino's life in this instance here, allowing him to keep positioning, but he still has to back away from it as he's a little nervous of what the follow-up could be onto his specific spot behind the deployable shield. Thankfully, the MP has now expired, and we'll see those ADSs reignite, so it'll be safe to go back up there in just a second.
Already got the Selma charge down, though, so this makes Vase a heck of a lot harder to play. Kino, luckily enough, that ADS too low there, just not within the distance of the EMP. They'd have to toss that into the actual hookah space in order to get rid of that, so it'll eat up both of those grenades. But now they know exactly where Kino is as well, and if you guys have been watching this series at all, you'll know that DWG are no strangers to applying pressure to locations that they know that they can, and this is exactly what's going to happen. Woogie pushes through the smoke, they wait until he gets through to activate the Finka, and that's a dead Kino. Nobody paying attention to any push at all. Coded started the plant, Oxygen with no response to this. We need to see the nitro here, but the plant, it's already gone down, John. What is happening right now to Oxygen?
Oxygen at the moment just walking blind, it seems, inside of these defensive scenarios. They knew they had Cool Vibes and through extension of that hookah, but now, at the same time, DWG KIA not given enough room just yet to secure their post-plant positions. Now it is, however, so that first kill from Vertical might be the only free one he can sneak off here. They've got to fight for every inch of this retake, as it's in such a tough position. You can see Laxi even has to turn the wrong way. They don't account for Coded being right outside the doorway, let alone the rappel positions and the additional platform positions too here. Foxay might be the next to fall, but in fact, he wins the duel versus Katsang, taking him out as he's ran outside to take the duel, trying to pinch this. It won't work out. Woogie Man and Cold and hold on to their spots, and it's another successful take here from DWG KIA as they're racing up towards 7 with 2 rounds already in their pocket.
That wasn't even that creative. They just set the early player on the double window and then secure Sunrise downstairs, use the EMPs to try and clear out the player here for Vase, and they successfully do so in a sense. They push Kino down into Vibes with the ADS constantly protecting him from those grenades. So what's the answer? Well, it's DWG pushing through the toxic smoke. Just because that smoke's there doesn't mean I can't push it. And that's exactly what DWG do. They push through, and then after he gets through the smoke, they activate the Adrenal Surge to give him that extra HP for that fight as well. That was fantastic coordination there from DWG, and Oxygen gobsmacked at the moment. They even have Pulse, and they can't get anything done. I mean, even Foxay, not knowing that anyone's inside of Sunrise in that moment, it's just extremely unfortunate for the time. That's going to be 2 rounds for the offense.
DWG KIA with solid control of 2 separate rounds here. This time, Oxygen not even really able to argue that they had it in the early round either. They just canned over so much positioning on a silver platter, especially their Cool Vibes player just not able to respond to it, and no one backing up said Cool Vibes player either. Once he's dead, that's it. Hookah is just handed over to DWG KIA, and they can go for a default plant with 0 resistance, and as we mentioned in the middle of the round, that's with Oxygen having 2 nitros in their pocket, which never came into play at any point during that one. So much utility just wasted there for OXG, as they never even get a chance to use it.
Yeah, Coastline is a great map, but when you pick it, that's the problem, is because you don't get to choose the offensive side. You're more than likely going to start on the defense, and this is how things can go. DWG, they've looked so dynamic so far inside of this map. Oxygen have got to get defensive rounds in the moment. DWG, more than likely, able to muster quite a few rounds here. If they get anything at 5, then you really got to start getting worried for what can happen. Really looking for Oxygen to possibly get 2 defensive rounds on this half, but anything past that for DWG, likely all for naught. Either way, though, Coded now will start shooting in towards the positioning of one of the members of Oxygen, but luckily Laxine will hit the deck and behind the luggage boxes and be able to stave off elimination. VIP access now gifted to DWG from these Selma charges. They'll break up the entirety of that wall. It will be a penthouse defense here for Oxygen, and this is looking quite similar to our previous round in a sense. They've already got a player out here on the double window. He'll be able to man this for a time with the other players starting to rotate in. Coded going to drop off towards the outside of the building, not the bathroom drop here, so he'll begin droning out that basement floor. For Rin, it's just going to be onto the angle hold here for the VIP hallway to see if they can secure an Oxygen member rotating back towards the site.
Once again, in action from both of our teams inside of the first minute and a half. Okay, I'll take that right back as Coded's going in the hot swing to get himself inside. And Overwatch from a second player on Repel. They don't even know. No, the Nitro, it's going to stop it with less than 1 second left on the plant. And Laxing catches Katsang on the big window. Repel also Rin rotates back in, takes Aqua control, and takes 2 kills as well. We're still even in Damwon Kia. Yeah, the Gambit play to swing into the site didn't work out, but they've got even player count, so they're not out of this one just yet. The biggest issue they have to face off against now is that they've dropped the case in the site, and they're not going to be able to get that back unless they frag their way to a win.
A minute remaining here for Oxygen to hold on, and that's all they need to do. But can Woogieman possibly deal some serious damage to them that they won't be able to recover from? Currently inside a guitar, awaiting his teammate to try and assist him. Be the adrenal surge out from Rin to try and assist from, well, a wider berth as Yas will try and propel himself forward, stuns out to Burn and stuns out to Blind as he'll move his way in. Somebody needs to pick up this case as Foxy, he's all the way over inside of Vase. Yas with the fake here, the smoke goes wide and he'll begin his plant. Ren trying to look for the man down low, but it'll be Laxing to catch him. Yas, will he be able to get the plant? He will, but now they know where he is. That's going to be a simple frag, and Oxygen finally get a defensive round.
Damwon Kia finally overstepping their attacking strategy just a tad here with the direct swing, having virtually no clear except for a few pieces of utility being taken out by the Rotero drones inside of the site. They test the defenses right out for Oxygen and finally end up losing a bet for the first time in this map here. 2-1 is the scoreline, but obviously Damwon Kia will quickly adjust for that on the next attempt as we'll more than likely return to that site on the 6th round here. Things working out finally for Oxygen, and they can now choose to go back wherever they would like, but they are going to just keep themselves in the usual rotation, returning back into kitchen and service for the next upcoming round.
Kino able to find some very serious frags inside of that round, but the big saving grace has to be Foxy. The only one that could have possibly have stopped that plant from going on is Damwon didn't have presence downstairs inside of kitchen. Now the big thing inside of that round that happened was that swing off of the Rotero drone. That's how they had no idea initially as to what was going on, but luckily enough, some sharp ears on Oxygen will discover that plant and be able to slow it down a bit here and secure that round. For Oxygen, we're back down into kitchen, and if you guys do remember, this was a pretty close one as they were able to slow things down, but never actually hop 2 inside of the round, and that was the biggest deal. They never took it to DWG, who inevitably was able to bowl over them in the dying moments and get a plant down that was nigh impossible for Foxy to stop.
Damwon still in control at a 2-1 lead here, but finally the cracks are starting to show. And OXG, this is a site that they controlled the pacing inside of the early round, but handed over far too much respect the last time it was attempted here, ultimately still allowing for Damwon to work into a successful assault, despite the relative safe control for our defenders here. So now time to see if they'll make that same mistake again, or if OXG will keep the heat on, keep the pressure up in that last 30 seconds of the round this time, and choke out the potential plant that was allowed to sneak through on the previous play. Damwon, of course, do need to make some improvements in their own early round here. Try to flush out specifically the front lobby positions as well as any supporting spots in kitchen this time if they want to try and go for the same type of execute in through a direct service play.
Rotero drone out, and it'll get rid of the deployable shield out here, covering the rotation into the main hallway. Yet another one out here for Yas as they'll continue to deliver the onslaught of explosions. It'll blow up this Banshee inside of the main lobby space, but obviously still have to deal with the laser gate as well, but that could come at a later time. For Oxygen, they're simply waiting the arrival of DWG as they still begin clearing out this map. More Rotero drones in and more utility gone here. That's going to be the name of the game here here for the opening minute as that one gets so very much done inside of this one. And luckily enough, DK still have Rin over on the Finca as well, as they did end up switching Yas towards the Flores instead. Now, not too much going on inside of the map. It's DWG looking for their entry point.
Yes, the floodgates are open with all that utility being deleted here. Still one Rotero drone left as well. If DWG KIA want to try and knock something else out, and that's on top of 2 of the lifeline charges being available here for Katsang. So things looking quite confident for DWG as we go into the last minute and a half. They're going to throw in a couple of stun charges here to try and flush out a few members of Oxygen, force some rotations, but nothing going to be spurred on too much just as of yet here. As Katsang now swings in through the big window upstairs, and he'll have one more teammate moving in with him to support him. We'll see at least one of the Selmas, in fact all of them, deployed by Coded there to open things up on the inside of service.
Breaching charges down as they begin to break up the flooring above the B site, searching for Kino, but obviously he's all the way deep, tucked inside of Kitchen, trying to play his life out. As for the rest of Oxygen, they're all off of site in the current moment, which could lead to a possible rush coming in. Nobody inside of that space as Yaga goes down. Now, with the initial pick here, how does DWG want to continue this push? Axton will be holding on to the white stairs, one inside of this space, and luckily enough, a frag coming the way of OXG. They'll take down Katsang, and they'll be able to equalize.
Oxygen quickly learning their lessons here and having a much more successful swing, but oh no, biting off a bit more there. Laxing 0-2 bold as he tries to rotate into the front desk itself and gets cut off by Rin. Rin, of course, now being spotted as he entries, and in comes the wild swings from Kino that has been plaguing DWG KIA's entry attempts here round after round, but only just a little bit on this one. Coded able to get a rare exchange against him, but Coded overstepping his own position here. No time left. Woogieman, the only player remaining here. He will be able to start the plant, but should be a quick interruption as the rest of the team swarms it against him. Foxe will catch a glimpse of him just through the wall there, shutting him down and now equalizing the scoreline at 2-2.
And that's the 2 rounds that Oxygen desperately wanted on this half. It was looking very bleak early there, especially for DWG's 2 rounds as they continue to bowl over Oxygen, but luckily enough, they bounce back in a pretty convincing way and also keep their tack time out as well. So fortunately, this is starting to look like they could pull this one out. DK, though, obviously starting to fire on all cylinders, especially for Rin's case, as he's continually been the thorn in the side of this defense. So look to pull ahead here in round 5 as we'll see double bar for the very first time.
Double bar, new site being added in here for OXG as finally they go on a bit of a run for themselves here. 6 pick will be used, but again, it's not going to be anything earth-shattering. Just Foxe moving from a Legion over to a Malusi there, so trying to surprise the different for utility that honestly won't be too surprising for DWG KIA here, especially considering we're going to go to the double bars. Malusi is almost a necessity for teams inside of this one, as you do need to slow down that rush that can sometimes happen through the pool door.
Oxygen will break up the blue bar wall as we're used to seeing, as well as start applying a healthy amount of utility inside of Sunrise. Mute Jammer for the wall, as well as a Banshee on the single panel to make sure nobody can rush inside, as well as not destroy that, like putting on off a soft wall or something along those lines where it would instantaneously be blown up along with that soft wall. The rest of the reinforcements will be dedicated upstairs to try and assist with slowing down the DWG clear, especially for the VIP space where we've seen them start quite often on their end. But now, as soon as we say that, round 5 will commence. Prep phase done and action phase starts now.
Things get started, and it's going to look a little bit slower this time for DWG KIA. They'll work their way forward out from spawn, being a little bit cautious of any potential pop-outs here from OXG. Not going to see too much in terms of any counteraction, however, from the OXG side of things, as they too have to be worried themselves about what could happen if they take too many risks here. Quick little Thatcher EMP working its way in with some X-Kairos also to open up the first access point in through the pool door, and that should go off without too much of an issue, and there you go, blows up the Mute Jammer in the process as well, so now they've got the capability to open this hole up even more so, if they would so like, with the EMP expiring just in time there. We see the lights switch back on just after there. They get that wall open.
That's the beauty of Thatcher. Usually there's a lot of convoluted stuff that happens in order to clear those out. Dump in a bunch of utility, make sure the frag grenade can go off, bounce a frag grenade, kill the Mute Jammer, then apply utility and hope that nobody else, well, reapplies utility to the other end. But fortunately, with the EMPs, it makes all of that, well, kind of a moot point. You toss the EMP, you toss your own utility, and now you have a wall. That's how it works. As for Oxygen, continue to spin up around this map. Laxing will climb the white stairs here. Looking to see if he can find anybody inside of this space. He'll look out towards Guitar, but nobody home for the time being. Rin has made his way into security here, and this is going to be a solid cutoff that could bag him a frag a little bit later on, as it will actually come through right now. Does he start moving towards security? Oh, this is going to be so very close. Oh, and it's going to be a freebie. Yogg walks right into the clothesline from the LMG.
Yogg expecting some type of rotation if there was going to be a player. They're not really expecting the full send in the corner, so that'll lead to Yogg yet another death going into his pocket. Only 1 assist so far in the game for him, and 5 deaths aside from that. So not the greatest start for him inside of this matchup, but he was lagging behind a little bit in map number 1 too. Rin follows it through with a second one from inside of security also. Things looking a little bit more confident in the site itself. Both Foxe and Kino striking true because Foxe still maintains top presence here in Aqua that for some reason has been completely ignored by Damwon KIA. Vertical and Foxe, however, are now the only 2 left remaining here. So they will have to look for some rotation point to get themselves back downstairs here in the next 30 seconds. As here we go, another plant attempt finally going to be made. The hop down is made, but it's caught. Foxe dead and Vertical with no HP. He has no dog in the fight. So we will see Rin absolutely shredded apart with 4 kills inside of that round.
This has been an insane coastline out of Rin. And for Damwon, they have to be feeling themselves after that round, able to work their way in towards blue and begin, well, setting that plant down pretty early. That's obviously going to be stopped out from Oxygen, but since they didn't do it on load time, they were able to reconvene and see what they could possibly do with the space. They'll adjust it across and force Oxygen to rotate downstairs, and they'll advise hop into courtyard from Foxe. Gets tagged up, and obviously the last remaining member being Vertical on literally a sliver's worth of HP, so practically impossible to win a gunfight, I guess, unless you're coded from Villa.
So Damwon KIA in control yet again, with already over half the rounds on the attacking side controlled, and the possibility to really lock in the advantage at 4-2. But at the same time, OXG going to make a return where we've seen probably their most successful hold yet upstairs inside of Theater. However, remember, if you weren't watching from our previous attempt here, that was mainly due to the fact that Damwon KIA went for a rather bold plant strategy, just swinging right into the window, having only used the Rotero drones to clear out initial utility placed in that part of the map. Oxygen very quickly responded to that, shut that down, locked the diffuser inside of the site, and made the rest of the round nigh impossible for Damwon KIA. So a quick switch up on their own strategy, and we could see a much more successful attack be yielded here on the final round of the half.
Oxygen will open up the hatches for transitions in between the top and bottom floor, as well as an extension made out towards Hookah, like we saw the last time around. This will have a mute jammer for the right and an ADS for the left panel here, just to try and assist the player playing this position. Rin not going to take any heat, but will send some shots towards the sunrise window just to ensure that none of the Oxygen members can possibly try and take him out as he transitions towards the roof. Woogie will claim more the service door here for Yas and make sure that, well, nobody gets blown up in the process. Trying to move this around and make sure it's a little bit better in order to make sure that it doesn't get taken out on the door once they try and clear this space out, but also could just reapply it somewhere else. Doesn't seem like they really were too worried about that in the overarching strategy, and yes, indeed, not gonna... Actually, yes, he will reapply. Are we applying it or are we not, Woogie? What are we doing here? Finally, we'll be able to get the Claymore down on the service door, and it'll stay there for a time to guarantee that no runouts happen as DWG start things off on the VIP balcony.
Openings being made now for Damwon KIA to flood open the positions over by VIP, but OXG will have setups on their own regard inside of the hallway to counteract that, so it's not going to be a clean opening just yet for Damwon KIA. All it does is enable the capability for them to take fights. It doesn't necessarily guarantee that they'll get the room, as we can see Yogg now in position to fend that off, but Yogg's not a guarantee here. Keep in mind, the scoreline for him has been quite rough this series. He's been struggling, unlike the first match of the day versus M&M, so things are going to be a little bit tough for him to contribute here if he ends up in an direct 1v1.
Well, slow and steady for both of these teams. No one wanting to overstep in the current moment. Yes, this grenade will get eaten up as actually inevitably goes off there. I thought initially the ADS got eaten up, but no, it did indeed get that deployable shield, so making things a little bit harder here. But now DWG really need to focus on this timer. They have to try and get through Kino's smoke utility, and what she has an abundance of at the current moment is Coded trying to pick a couple of these members off over on the west-hand side. Rin starting to pressure the VIP space, or rather the Hookah space, with Yaga inside of Vase. Trying Tries to double back here, not able to find the kills in any significant way just yet, as Coded trying to look for this plant spot. All the smoke's coming in. They've wasted so much utility in this area. He'll double back over towards Guitar, and so much time for them to try and work this out, especially with the pick onto Fox. DWG looking good in the moment.
Rest of DWG KIA here. Still looking for ways to swing outside of VIP. They do have a route to plant inside of the corner of the bedroom, and that might be what Coded is working towards now. But he's also going to have some trouble trying to isolate out the player from Oxygen. Not only still sitting down the hallway at VIP, but the one still sitting in the back of Theater too. This is DWG biting off a little bit more than they can chew by not having dealt with the players in the back of the site here. Kino just ripping him to shreds. Vertical goes down, but it doesn't even matter with the presence still alive at the top of Cool Vibes here. DWG don't have a hope of getting any cleanly, and they drop that final round, allowing for OXG to bounce back into it at an even 3-3 scoreline.
Yes, indeed, and Penthouse being the saving grace for Oxygen as they find more than 2 rounds on their defensive end, 2 of those in which coming from that defense. It'll be Hookah here for DWG Gaming as they start their defensive half, and actually, no, they're going to switch it up on me. It'll be Kitchen Service instead. Yas initially going to dedicate himself to the Vigil. Will we see a change up in this? We will indeed. It'll be on over to the Oryx here, as everyone else will obviously have to stick their ups. Kino moving away from the Thatcher and onto the Flores. This is something that we see DWG not go for on their side. They kept the Thatcher in the entire time, and honestly, it got quite a bit done for their utility game in a bunch of different ways. They did not have to deal with these mute jammers directly. They could just simply drop an EMP, open whatever wall that they wanted to, and then begin progression through the map. So we'll see if this is a struggle for Oxygen or exactly how this ends up going for them.
DWG following the same path of Oxygen, at least to start off this half, as they work themselves down into the VIP, or rather into the kitchen area, as well as service entrance. As far as the attacking lineup is concerned, it's going to be pretty much as we would expect, very similar to the roster that DWG KIA were also bringing in on their own attacking side, with some emphasis on the Flores being played by Kino there to bleed out specifically the service and front utility. And then we'll have Yaga bringing the Finka into the fold. On top of, again, a move that we actually surprisingly didn't see a whole lot of from DWG KIA, the Sledge being picked up by Vertical here, which is going to make those top-down openings a little bit easier than the breaching charge route that we saw DWG try to go for instead, which, to be fair, ended up working out quite well for them. It just took a little bit longer, I think, to open up some of those angles.
Yes, indeed. And also interesting wrinkle coming in here for the defensive end as well, and one that I'd love to point out for you guys when it comes to DWG. They actually always end up opening this blue bar wall to make sure that they have verticality, or rather horizontal vision in coming in through the lobby space to make sure that, well, no offender can try and rotate in and deal with these Sunrise players as easily. They'll have to try and deal with this directly. Cat saying he's gone fishing but not able to find too much outside. He's going to cross that angle as well, so he'll finally be droned out, but all this is quite scary in the moment, and Cat saying actually going to stick to it. 0-5 at the time and trying to find his first frag. He'll fall back here and worried about the kitchen window and his re-entry into the space.
Neither team wants to truly make the first move here. Oxygen still slowly creeping in from the backside of the map to start sweeping over towards a kitchen assault. A lot more needs to be cleared out before they can get there. Notably, we can see Boogeyman waiting patiently for a member of Oxygen to possibly creep in through security. They misdrone this on a previous round here, so I think Oxygen, or rather DWG, are hoping that that misdrone may end up happening again as they try to swing themselves forward. But away from that, it's going to be all quiet on the front here. Neither team wanting to truly take the first risk. But this is a much bigger problem for Oxygen, however, as we talked about endlessly back on map number 1 here, because if they end up losing that initial battle here and we don't see a good follow-through, as we've just seen with Yas picking up the first kill, XG may struggle tremendously to have enough presence to shift themselves into the site due to the slow-natured way they tend to approach those executes.
Nade won't end up bagging anything on the top floor as this timer continues to dwindle. Oxygen now fighting the clock as they're trying to fight DWG as well, and obviously it appears that DWG are winning the current battle. Coded, oh no, so much here as he's able to put the utility away. That was some mechanical flawlessness if I've ever seen it. Lean back, able to least get the SMG-11 back in his hand before he tears Oxygen to shreds. Their offensive side not coming together in any convincing way just yet, but finally they'll be able to take down Yas. But Katsang's found his own kill as well. Yaga trying to pressure in through the kitchen door here. All these smokes pouring in, but he has to make a move. Lax need to take down one, but they need more than that in the moment. And finally, Yaga will push forward. He claims yet another life. Laxi will push in as well behind him. They know that there's a Kegs player. They have so many bullets in this LMG, but he slipped through the cracks. They don't know where he is. He's moved to the other side, and they have to plant this. But the top player, where is he? Where is Rin? Rin, you need to get here. He's just simply sitting inside of the site. He can possibly find a frag if he crosses here, but I don't believe that he'll be able to see him. And Rin letting his teammate out to dry here. And he'll be taken down from Laxing on a round that looked like damn one we're going to be able to secure early.
Usually surprised we don't see Rin come into the flow there at some earlier point. I'm not sure if he had kind of the winning angle on the top-down perspective for where maybe they thought Oxygen were going to go for a plan or something else. To be fair, we didn't have great vision on what was going on upstairs at the time, so there's a few things he might have been working towards. But either way, from our POV, we could see the player in sight just left out on an island, unfortunately. They're coded, trying his heart out to delay, and more importantly, keep himself alive. But it's all a futile effort as OXG bully their way in the final seconds of the round due to the great entry power coming in for the two remaining players, and they take the lead now as we move into the second half.
Oxygen's going to be happy about this, especially with the two early frags coming out from DWG. You thought it was theirs for the loss, but obviously not able to work things out. Ended up actually securing that loss, unfortunately enough for them. So almost dishing that out towards Oxygen's direction, rather. So either way, after those two initial frags, not able to win it out, and Oxygen now up and on to the lead for the first time here. In the current moment, though, Oxygen able to at least get some very serious frags on that re-entry and assist themselves in getting that plant down. We'll be looking towards Hookah Billiards this time around, but they'll have to work through a couple of different pieces of utility, and also they won't have access to the OSA like they really enjoyed using in their previous matchups on this map. We'd usually see it go down inside of the billiard space, which would just signify an aqua plant that we're all so very used to, but that position is going to be a little bit harder to stick now, because if, well, you try and go for the fake, there's going to be an angle right across your head over here from Hookah. So we'll see how Oxygen try and deal with this situation, minus the OSA.
Oxy with the edge. Now can go for a very slow rolling attack here again. This will be against the Hookah Billiards defense from DWG KIA. Fox 8 just going through the usual motions at the beginning of the round, so nothing too surprising, nothing too groundbreaking here, and the same can be said for DWG KIA's setup, as they're going to bring the usual spread of utility. Two mitigators, as well as the Mute Jammer to deny some drone presence, but most of that is going to get immediately bled away. That Mute Jammer actually staying alive, as it's just on the edge of the explosive radius there, so we'll still be able to deny the wall for a little bit longer, as Coded's position will remain stalwart.
Slow and steady for both of these squads as the Rotero drones continue to work their way in and try and get rid of most of this utility. A new hole made underneath the rotation as well here, as Woogieman is holding things down currently inside of Sunrise. We'll be continually playing this count, but there's so much pressure inside of this area now. He might be dead very soon as he's trying to find some safe haven to work and has that case down outside, although unbeknownst to him, that's just up to Oxygen in the current moment. Oh man, one trigger pull away from removing Yogg's head, but well, the shoe's on the other foot in the current moment, and Oxygen have found their frag.
Oxygen looking strong again, but keep in mind, these entry powers, these entry kills, I should say, haven't necessarily always translated to an immediate round win for the team. They've gotten tripped up in trying to actually access the site, but I will give them credit. Things are looking quite promising here in the first 2 minutes of play that we have seen. Katsang waiting for a response on the rappel. Nade's getting chucked at him, but going too deep. Might have been to deal with some positioning. Possibility of an extended shield to Katsang's right, so might have not been the priority as of yet. Katsang in the meanwhile here having trouble hunting down the headshot of the player on rappel here, as he's just too quick to move left and right there. So a little bit too difficult of a shot for Katsang to track out in these circumstances. But for Rin, things work out better, and Katsang eventually finds his kill from behind the small bar. Kino will trade on to Rin and regain control over the diffuser, though, as he moves to the inside of Aqua.
The Rotero drone out here, and past that, Very minimal utility in order to deal with this situation. Yas with a big kill as Sunrise is allowed. No drone down there for the Oxygen side, but we continually find an equalizer for the offensive team as well. Yas looking for the kill here out on Hookah. Can he find it as he begins to be pressured? Foxe will get him through the couch, and they'll be able to pull ahead by 2 rounds.
So the strategy from OXG of just kind of sitting back and waiting for their opponents to make mistakes, finally working out in that round as well here, where it wasn't really playing in too well on map number 1 for Villa, constantly leaving them in positions where they just had to brute force their way forward, usually with lackluster results. It's working out a bit better this time as DWG KIA are giving them these fights and giving them these early kills here with only limited trades being found. DWG need to find a way to cool this off a little bit or some other way to control the action, as if not, OXG are on a solid run all the way up to 7 rounds. We're going to go into a tactical pause from DWG KIA, but it may extend itself a little bit further past the usual 60-second mark, by the way, folks. So don't panic if that's going to be the case, as we do have a member of Oxygen that's having a technical issue as well.
And don't worry about that either. They will obviously cut off Houndbird's time as well as Hope's time at the inevitable mark. So still won't have an extended tactical timeout. It'll just be going into a technical here at the very tail end. But hopefully Houndbird having some inspiring words for his team, as this is looking very bleak at the current moment. It looks like we might be making our way to Clubhouse very soon.
Yeah, not a whole lot of responses coming in, and it's only gotten worse really for DWG as they've tried additional sites. They're going to make a rerun back downstairs into kitchen and service, and we have now reignited ourselves into the game, by the way, so no additional time needed to fix the technical issue. We are back in game, so throw that bug off the screen. Let's get back in game. Let's see if the results will show true for DWG KIA, or if Oxygen are going to continue to make a nearly flawless run here for the attacking side.
It's a 6 pick here for Oryx, or rather a 6 pick into Oryx here for Yas, as he'll get away from the disc-wielding Wamai. No frisbees inside of this one, just pure unadulterated aggression, as we have the wall-bursting man himself into the fold. Yet another defensive strategy looking pretty solid here from DWG. This is the exact rotate that we saw the last time that ended up keeping Coded alive for an unbelievable amount of time. Just very unfortunate that he was not able to have Rin there, as Rin is indeed the top frag at the current moment, but just a misplay in the moment there for them, as they were so close to securing their very first defensive round. But Oxygen obviously counting their lucky stars in that one, as it was very, very close, kept going back and forth time and time again, just like we saw in the previous round, as these two continue to bare-knuckle brawl inside of these ones.
DWG KIA continuing to look for ways to yield results on this defensive side, after only being able to translate even numbers in their first half on the attack, failing so far in every aspect of their defensive end of things here. Able to delay things slightly, but yep, this is the problem here. You got to avoid getting tripped up by these drones. It's only a distraction. Usually a member of Oxygen not going to be too far behind the drone itself. Woogieman realizes this and backs away to securities. He does not want all the aggression being thrown at him from OXG this early on in the round here. It's pivotal. They try and keep their player count alive for a lot longer than they have been up until this point. So Woogieman going to continue to give over respect, and finally meets himself with results here. Foxe tries to take the duel outside of Lambo, but it's Woogieman that aces the headshot against him instead, and all right, now he's back into it. Even respect being given over by Foxe. He's gonna go forward. Nitro's out. Bye-bye as well. He even tries to chase him down there with the Rotero drone. It's not going to work, and look at the bottom left. That thing's just going to keep on rolling until it finally runs out of time and explodes by the couches. Woogieman, though, he's got to be a bit careful. He's still on a hot seat as he backs away towards the bathrooms and still looking to fight as he peeps out through the drone hole, trying to see if he can find Laxing's feet.
These might be some of the strongest tag timeouts that we have seen from any team. Time and time again, when they take these, they are able to pull themselves out from the depths. It has to go down here, but they've already dealt some serious damage to Oxen, although they do possibly have the refrag here. How's it work out? Oh, Yaga looks away at the last second, and Woogieman, I mean, I don't know who is blessing this guy in the current moment, but he continues to find his mark as he's found 3 in just this round. Oh, Laxing, get off the rappel, my friend. You've been dusted. You've been served, as it's all down to vertical to try and get match points. point.
Boogeyman's playing aim lab right now with the way he's lining up these headshots. They are on point as he snaps them, and we nearly see Vertical get a good one himself there, but he's going to be denied as well. It's Rin on the hatch drop to shut down the round, and finally give us a confident defensive win here for Damwon KIA. That's going to hurt OXG here, but at the same time, they still maintain a lead with a +1 advantage, so they're not necessarily in a bad strait too early just yet either.
I gotta know what the strat book is for this one. Is this, all right, guys, we're losing. Woogie, we need you to kill 4 people. That's what we need. Listen, you're gonna run over to security and you're gonna kill everybody.
They've learned from their game versus the Sonics yesterday.
Yes, indeed. That Sonics game was absolutely insane. And honestly, for the Sonics' sake, that was probably one of the most incredible games of Siege I have ever seen them play. I know I referenced it earlier, but if you guys did not see the Kansan clip, first things first, you're living under a rock. And secondly, please go watch that, because it's some of the most disgusting SMG11 play I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've been playing this game since beta. So truly insane stuff happening inside of that matchup. But I mean, some incredible things happening here as well, especially if you're a South Korean Siege fan.
Kino's been lining up some heaters over the course of this series too, as he's been on point with his own SMG11 accuracy here. Once again, that's a go-to weapon for so many of our defenders, and at least 1 or 2 of our attackers have access to it as well here, just because it is the highest DPS in the game, the lowest TTK possibility out of all weapons, if I remember the stats correctly.
It's very, very close. I think
there's like 1 more that's above it, right? But like no one uses it because the spray pattern is like too hard to control or something like that.
I don't think the SMG-12 beats it out. I think you're right, but like there's definitely a couple ARs that are like really close. The AK-12 is the scariest gun in the game in my book. Past that, obviously, it's literally any LMG that you can get your hand on, because, well, you just have more bullets than everybody else. And if there's one thing you love inside of Siege, it's having bullets.
Yes.
Yas able to find the drone here inside of Office. And speaking of guns that are pretty interesting, we are going to have Kino here. Now with the DMR, he will have the V308 here, as we're going to have Lion adopted into the mix.
And for those who missed it, it's a good thing that Yas finds that drone too. You saw him kind of creeping up towards the door. It was looking like he was thinking about going for a run out, but obviously second guesses it when he manages to spot that drone. So great Overwatch there. Good early, like, high IQ play from him to be able to spot that one out and second guess his decision there, because that could have been an easy first kill going into the pocket of Oxygen had he just full sent it out the doorway. Vertical, though, will line him. Okay, on this window repel, and very quickly gets a nitro thrown at him. Thankfully, it's very easy to telegraph one, so gets himself out of there. It only takes a bit of a sliver of damage there, about 1/3 of his HP being removed as he tries to back away from that one. Kino now primed and ready to take on a challenger should one swing out from behind the bar, but at this point, Damwon Nets don't necessarily have any reason to try and bait into those early fights here. Just fishing for a kill, and I think the lake is empty this early in the day.
Yes, indeed. Likely all asleep, as my grandpa used to tell me. Yas now looking for the initial frag here, but it'll be Rin instead to reconvene here and bring us down to the 4 versus 4. Beautiful shot from him, and Vertical with the possibility of a frag on Decoded. He'll be able to secure that for his teammate as Laxing takes down yet another. It's a 2 versus 4 now for Damwon, but will they have the ability to fight out of it? Yas, no prevention down low, so that case down. They'll have to pick that back up and look to start this plant, but looks like the kills might come before the plant does here, as Yas starts to peek out from inside of Vase. And yes, Yaga with a beautiful frag here. Sees the cross, and the plant begins, waiting for this player inside of the space, but not able to land his shots. Foxay will find the frag, and they'll find match point.
Way too much intel bleeding over into OXG's side of things, and unfortunately for Damwon, way too many players too eager to take a fight there as well, trying to jump out and take challenges versus the members of OXG. That's exactly what they want, and within most cases, them having the advanced intel of where they were in the first place, they fall right into the trap, giving over kill after kill to our attackers here, and yet another successful attack going into their pocket. OXG sits at the precipice here, 6-4. 1 out of the next 2 is all they need, and we'll be forced onto a map 3 to truly decide the winner of this series, and more importantly, decide who gets to stay in the tournament.
If there's one thing about these NA teams, when they're backed into a corner, they are going out with a fight. That is what we're seeing here from OXG, as once again trying to force us on over to Clubhouse, which would be the last map in between these two. Something has to give. Somebody has to go home in between these two teams, and obviously Oxygen does not want it to be them. It's going to be a double bar setup for our defensive team now, as we'll begin setting this up. No real interesting interesting characters working themselves in for either side. Kino will be keeping the Lion and his EE1Ds in play, so we'll see if they can continue to lock up the Damwon squad.
Damwon now looking to rebound here as their players, aside from two very bright shining stars, Woogieman and Rin, have been struggling to a massive extent inside of this game here. Katsang, as we can see specifically, he's been put on the task to hold specifically upstairs in the hookup billiards holes behind that bar, and despite multiple challenges being taken against the big window swings, he's only sitting at 2 and 8 right now. Yaz similarly at 3 and 7, and Coded also at 4 and 8. A huge contrast from both Woogieman and Rin, who sit at 10 and 14 kills respectively here, so a little too top-heavy at this point for the Damwon roster, meaning a kind of hunt for Oxygen to knock those two players out at the beginning of the round. If they can eliminate them, the rest of the follow-through is a pretty simple affair, as unfortunately they're not too keen on their capability to fight at this point in the server.
Obviously could change up on a dime as stuns pour in here. On the opposite end of the door just yet. Kino, I believe he'll have that Gon 6 eaten up there as the shield had been protected. Did he get it? Yes, it did indeed get protected with those ADSs underneath the bar. Those ones kind of difficult to get in the moment for Oxygen, so won't be able to do it just yet, but they still have frag grenades and everything of the sort to try and deal with that. Biggest thing is that they would have to do it on timing as of right now. Trying to add more into the pile here, but the Wamai discs catching as well. Those ADS is still dedicated to that shield. This is a beautiful setup for Damwon as of right now, and a frag grenade will fall on the floor as Yas takes out Yogg right outside the sunrise window.
Good start here and a confident win as well, one we certainly needed to see here from a player that we just talked about that had been struggling here. So that's a great pickup here. Much more confident hold. Rin as well catching vertical. That eliminates him. Still have the Lion in play here as Kino will be able to use that utility at a later point, so possibility to swing back off of that, but at a 3 versus 5 now with virtually no inside presence gained as yet here for Oxygen. They've got a lot of makeup work to do as those first two fights falling away from them is going to hurt, but thankfully these fights are taken much earlier in the round. That was a point that we talked about during the last map. Kino taps in, isn't able to find the full spray though, and doesn't really want to go for it. I think he was hoping that first shot might have been the headshot. Could have taken Yas down outright, so he's given the very serious warning allowed to back away from it. Fox now caught in a lurk on the interior bathrooms of the first floor also. Woogieman eliminates him. Finally, an exchange is found from Kino to take out Yas, but that still only brings us down to a 2v4 with a little under a minute remaining.
Oh, Woogieman, very aware of what Laxing more than likely wants to do with this space. He's just awaiting his arrival. Prone underneath the door, and Woogieman more than likely will be able to hear him crawling through. And well, hi Laxing. How you doing there, buddy? Kino now the last remaining member, and a lot to do for him. Not able to secure the frag. Obviously knows where that member is, but really can't get too much more done past that. He'll stand on top of the box, awaiting the swing once again. Katsai getting tagged up, but giving just about as good as he's getting, as the damage is about equal in between the two. Case currently over on the Mudroom side here as he'll be forced to double back, as Oxygen more than likely just chalking this one out in the moment. Really not too much for him to do, and Coded will end that round as they're looking for overtime the next.
Much more confident win there is really no positioning lost at any point in the round by the members of Damwon KIA. They're able to fend off Oxygen at nearly every single entry point, so a huge contrast to what we had been seeing. That's what Damwon want to have occur on every single one of these defensive rounds. That's what they're hoping to have happen on their upstairs holds as well with some of these aggressive challenges they've been taking for Oxygen. Unfortunately, just never seeing the rounds play out that way due to the instability or the frag capability from their other players. OXG still have their timeouts saved, so they're going to save until the very last round and bust it out now to try and discuss what the winning strategy will be to assault the kitchen and service, where once again, Damwon will be able to spread their wings nice and wide on this site, going all the way across, at least on the horizontal hold, and to some extent the vertical hold too, to try and waste out the time of OXG. This, however, has worked out quite well for Oxygen, be able to clear some of these players out due to the fact that quite a few of the defenders end up on an island when they spread out like that.
Now this is where things get scary, mostly because of what defensive setups we've seen from Damwon inside of this space so far. Oxygen's been doing a very bang-up job of clearing out this site and making it look pretty easy in the process. I'm honestly surprised that we're seeing Damwon go back to this place, but maybe they don't have the best penthouse hold. We really don't know. As for Oxygen, though, they'll more than likely be excited about what they can possibly do with this site. This should be a fairly straightforward affair for them, as they've been able to get 2 rounds in this already. As as we are coming down to possibly our last round here on Coastline. Can we see the extension from Damwon? Do we have overtime for map 2, just like we had on our first?
Well, let's find out if that's going to be the case as we're heading back in game now. And the operator selects aren't going to yield any huge surprises here. Yeah, we had a 6 pick, but it's things we have already seen before. The Oryx pickup coming in for Damwon, so that should be telegraphed pretty quickly by Oxygen. And technically not even really a 6 pick for the Oxygen side, as they just go from a Thatcher to a Thatcher, so no changes there.
You have two Thatchers now, right? You have like multiple, you have double the EMPs. That's how that works.
The clone of Thatcher.
Could you imagine if that's how that worked? If you doubled up on utility when you 6-picked to the same op? That would be the most absurd thing. Honestly, I would love to see a game mode in Siege where you just have endless utility for every operator. That would be just so absurd. Like unlimited reinforcements, unlimited utility. Oh, it'd be so disgusting. But
I don't think the servers could handle that.
No, honestly, we'd probably set all of the servers on fire. That's what would happen.
I think it would crash like 30 seconds into the problem. So.
Well, it would, because I would just play like Ella and I'd just be chucking Grishmots everywhere. Literally just tossing those things like candy. Yeah. Could you imagine?
You're the demo man in TF2 or something.
Like Zophia's lifeline, just constant impacts flying through the map. Oh man, that would be so crazy. But we don't want to get off too far off subject here, boys and girls, as we are so very close to seeing who can possibly take this map. And for Oxygen, if they're able to get it, we have the extension. They're already out, and 30 seconds down, they'll begin breaking up some of these angles, specifically over towards Blue Bar, to try and see out towards Vibes. This is going to be manned by Katsang, waiting for the crosshair, and this could be the initial frag coming back. And oh, is he going to be worried about the angle? Please do be. He sees it, but oh, so very close. As if he shattered the window on that initial volley, then he more than likely would have been able to secure the kill onto Kino. He just simply couldn't see him.
A little scared there on that peak for Damwon's sake, because these have been risky when they've gone for them here, more often than not leading into an early kill for Oxygen instead, especially with the Finka boost constantly coming back out there. Yaga already deploying that first Adrenal Surge as he looks to entry into Office, and that's not the only point they've taken control of. A few other members already starting to whittle their way in and bleed out control, but it's going to be Yas that finds the first kill of the round, utilizing that Oryx's vertical mount ability to get himself back up on top through the Office hatch, and now abuse the first entry from Kino, one of the strongest contenders inside of the server right now for Oxygen, dead on the ground, and that'll be a loss to be surely missed in the last minute and a half of this round.
Well, for Oxygen, it's not about the scoreboard anymore. It's about getting this round in any way humanly possible. The drone game now looking for some extra intel onto the Damwon members, as they seriously need to get a frag back into their graces. Drones in towards site to see if it's possibly soft this time around, but no, Katsang as well as the smoke player inside of this space will begin smoking off the kitchen door. Frag grenade out for the bulletproof as well as Yago clean that up, but now we're down to the dying minute.
60 seconds left. Oxygen frozen. This is not what we want to see from them here. It needs to be decisions being made and no delay on that. Pulling up for drone intel, that's fine, but waiting around for a pick, that's not good. However, it seems like it was the earlier of those two situations. Vertical, as he lines up the nade versus Coded, evens out the player count here, and now Damwon have to quickly draw their own players back to prevent the kitchen plant. This is a great cross from Yas. The timing's off though. He can't necessarily kill anyone immediately. Anyone who get the confirmation onto Vertical. Instead, it's going to be Rin who does it instead. Laxing leaping down to try and quickly get Vertical back into the fight, but on top of that, he's found another kill as well. This was winnable for Damwon, but a missed opportunity now gives one over to Oxygen instead. As Laxing moves in, they're going to try to res their teammate, and Laxing the Overwatch to save the day, but now he's got to get Foxay back up as Vertical was lost, but Rin was traded. Katsang alone here inside of the 1v2. No Overwatch in this kitchen position just yet, but he fires out too early here, gives away the plant opportunity. Laxing has to stick it here. Katsang just has to sneak in. He's barely got the angle, but Foxay instead sneaks off the headshot. We're going to map 3, ladies and gentlemen, as they close it down in the final round of regulation.
I was so very close in between those two. The shots from Katsang hitting the shoulder of the planter there, as well as those blood spurts just coming out. But fortunately enough, Oxygen able to stave off on the rest of DK here in the moment, as I'll be wanting that one back surely. So many kills coming out from Rin, but the rest of the team just not able to convene around him. And, well, now we have Clubhouse on the docket. It's a clean slate in between these two as they both take their own map.
So many adjustments showing up throughout both of these teams inside of this series, and now it's all going to come to bear on a map that has seen so much play inside of our pro divisions globally over the years here. So both teams will certainly feel fairly confident about their capability to win it out, but at the same time, that means they'll have heavy reads into each other due to the played out nature of that map. No crazy strategies to be busted out for the most part here. Means that it's all going to be who brings the best basic seed to the table, who brings the most solid plan, and who can bring the most consistent executes, especially on their attacking sides. As we've seen the meta switch up quite heavily at this event, especially on that map from time to time, seeing it favor our attackers quite heavily, not the defender-sided utopia that it once was a few months back. So a very tense third map sits right around the corner, and the victor, well, we can't even call it anymore here. It's been so back and forth between these teams. At some points, it looks like Oxygen's going to run over DWG. At some point, it looks like DWG is going to absolutely trounce the attacks from Oxygen, but it never fully tells the truth there, as both teams are fighting their hearts out to stay in this tournament. The tension is high here. Will another member of APAC be able to carry on forward in one of the highest prospects for this tournament as well, or will OXG continue to surge forward themselves here, finally looking for redemption from past events that they have been unable to claim a title at? Maybe this SI will be one for themselves as they try to battle it from the lower bracket all the way to the grand finals. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a short break before we get ourselves into that third map, so stick with us and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back for the final time, ladies and gentlemen. If you are just joining us, it's Oxygen up against DWG KIA. And both of our teams sit with one map apiece here. It's another elimination match, as are all of the games here today at the Six Invitational, and only one team can move forward here. APAC versus North America, OXG versus DWG. Who will take this final map, as we've had a fairly open layout for our first two maps, lots of room for interpretation and innovation in the strategy department. Not so much going to be the case, however, as we work ourselves into our final map. It's Clubhouse, one of the most long-standing maps in the pool currently, and one that both of our teams should know every single facet of.
It's going to be pretty interesting between these two, but you could say that about this entire series so far, especially with how DWG started things off on Villa. Things were looking bleak initially as Oxygen was looking to take their map and close it out, but they bounce back, force it to overtime, and take it 8-6, pushing us to Coastline, where Oxygen take their map as well in 7-5 fashion, although DWG at times seemingly just the more dominant team, but Oxygen able to fight back and fend them off. And now we're here. It's Clubhouse, and it should be quite a bit of fun. Here is our last map for you folks, so you guys can know exactly what we are just coming off of and how very close it was. I mean, just look at the costs of Oxygen across the board in comparison to DWG, especially for Rin's sake. But the big thing for Rin is that the kills were coming quite often and quite heavy, but a lot of the rounds where Rin could have possibly have won the entire game for Oxygen, he was nowhere to be found.
And as you can see here from the stats too, look at the first kill percentage. This is like the opposite issue that we saw from Oxygen a few days back, where they were getting all the early kills and none of the late round follow-ups. Now they're getting none of the early kills and all of the late round follow-ups here, as it's DWG making that series of mistake for themselves. They're picking up that first series of kills, but they're either staying out in the open for too long on defense, giving opportunities up for trades to OXG, or on the attacks, just not following through on it quickly enough to get themselves into the site here. Need to see a quick correction on that, as we've seen plenty of teams make that same series of mistakes on Clubhouse, even outside of these two, throughout the plays we have seen at SI. So, once again, a big glaring set of issues, and on top of that, an incredibly top-heavy performance from Rin and Woogieman. 16-8, 12-9, and then a massive drop-off down to 6-9 for Yas after that. That type of consistency is going to be very, very tough to be able to win rounds on if those two players start getting targeted, as we were seeing in some cases for FaZe against Astro in the initial game they played versus Liquid back in the group stage. So, need to find a quick correction that other members of DWG need to find their strength quickly. Otherwise, OXG start hunting down those players and finding easy closeouts for themselves.
Yeah, for Oxygen's sake, obviously going to be a little bit cooled off in comparison to how they were feeling initially, especially with the way that DWG was able to start that match. It was looking like it could have been pretty dire coming into Coast, but able to bounce back and tie things up at a 2-2 round count, and then finally able to push themselves ahead and not relinquishing that for the remainder of the time. DWG Gaming now set to try and take this on Clubhouse, and just as a reminder, folks, whoever loses this next map, they go home. There is no pass go. There is no collect $300. There's none of it. You are just back on a plane, back to your country. So we'll see who can possibly take Clubhouse here, as we're just getting this server warmed up.
Yep, just getting everybody with their headsets on and everything. So it should be another moment or two, folks, and then we'll leap into the action here. Hopefully you've been enjoying the game so far today. And a quick reminder that we are not finished just yet after this one. We still have a whole other set of games, as we've been marathoning it here on these broadcasts. Going 8 games a day ever since we got started last week, and finally are going to be ending it today, as we will finally return to just a single stream worth of action tomorrow. So important to note that, folks, if you've been keeping tabs on both streams, no longer will you have to do that starting from tomorrow, as we will have enough games to be able to limit that finally.
Well, it's time to teleport ourselves, folks, from Stockholm, Sweden into Germany and discover who can possibly win out Clubhouse in between DWG Gaming and Oxygen. We'll enter the ban phase now, as DWG Gaming starts us off by removing Osa.
Follow-up ban from Oxygen is going to be generally what you'd expect inside of the meta here, as we'll see Thatcher remove. That does leave Hibana and some other hard breachers in play that we would sometimes see getting banned out here, so lots of options available for our attackers due to the choice of removing Osa. Away from that, Mira will be the first defender banned, following usual meta trends. There will be no surprises, and a quick pick already made for Dom1, not wanting to waste too much time on this ban phase. They're going to knock out Valkyrie, so aside from the Osa ban, which is a little bit targeted at Oxygen specifically, not going to be any surprises here.
Yeah, well, the most rudimentary things you could really see for a Clubhouse. And yeah, as you said, the Osa ban coming in for Oxygen's overall strategy on their offensive side, just like we saw on Coastline. So won't be seeing the operator just yet here, at least inside of this series. She's gone for the time being. So Church Arsenal will be the first site here from Down1 Gaming as they head down low and see exactly what they can accomplish. Yas will be switching out from the Alibi into the Wamaya. Much stronger operator on this basement as the clones, yeah, they can get some things done. You can place them around the space and try and be a nuisance, but having more of those discs to catch up more offensive utility, especially in a grenade-heavy meta, might bode stronger for you.
So we've got Dom1 on the defensive side and going directly for a basement hold. Operator lineup isn't going to yield any surprises yet again for this team. We haven't seen too many of them at all. In fact, just a few switches from the usual meta trends to align with the team's personal preferences. But this one won't give us any of that whatsoever. We are going to just see the Maestro coming in to provide that backside huge amount of volleying from the Alda, the 81 rounds that'll be thrown out by him over the course of this round. The Cade charges coming back out, the Electric Claws rather, to mitigate the hatch openings and slow them down at a minimum. And of course, the utility mitigation, which is nearly a requirement for teams to bring here, especially on the basement attacks, because Oxygen will certainly be looking to use those frag grenades to abuse the hard lock positions. And okay, someone's going to be quite adventurous here at the start of the round. I think that's a soft hole through the main balcony that manages to nearly take out Fox Ace. He's going to be sitting at about 20 HP after that engagement.
It is indeed. Initially started off, and now we're in dealing some serious damage to Kino. And the biggest issue is that isn't Foxay either. He's still in very low HP, so later on this could be a pretty solid kill for Dam1. Luckily enough, though, for OXG, they will obviously keep that torch alive. They know exactly where this member is in Yas. Where is this drone at? It's pinged out his location. They'll be able to discover it. This will drop back down low. Nobody inside of this space, as Yas will be able to work his way back towards the stairwell. Katsang will hold his exit, and they'll both get downstairs after removing Kino from the equation.
That was the Zofia going down also, so if there's going to be any hard-to-reach utility that Oxygen need the dispatch of in the basement, won't really be able to get it unless they're able to prime up excuse me, actually, they do have the Ashe in play. I just kind of discounted that fact because we don't really see Ashe all that often anymore. So
look at how they've slaughtered my girl.
Yeah.
Look at what they've done, Sean. We really don't see Ashe that often anymore, especially with what has happened to the R4C, as we usually end up seeing the G36C played on this op nowadays, and just the breaching rounds not as strong as they once were. Had 3 there for a little while when it came to the utility meta, but just now has 2, and we'll have to see if she continues to work her way in for this Oxygen lineup. Double impact out and more impacts here, as they're just going to continue to add to this, and I'm assuming Yaga is just going to continue to, yes indeed, repeat this exact same thing time and time again.
Let's see the Nitro Cat saying, just throw it at him, why not?
There we go, there's all the impacts, and are we going to get the Nitro cell? Hopefully not from Katsang. He's going to be over here on the opposite end of things instead, as that hatch will be torched up, and well, look at the amount of delay. Although Oxygen able to drain out all of those impacts, they really don't matter when it comes to defending the actual site. You're looking more towards Nitro cells and smokes to be able to do any denial work, and well, now Oxygen on very low time have a lot of problem solving to do in the basement.
Absolutely the case. Still lots of utility to clear out themselves, but thankfully they've got quite a bit here with 3 frags available on top of the 3 flashbangs that they can utilize. Foxy the first to drop inside. I'll have to be a little careful if he's going to be trying to open up holes through the church wall, however, due to his low HP and the fact that if he wanders a bit too close, he could lose a good half of that or so in the process of trying to get it over. That nade, I think, is not going to end up making it far enough, so he'll need to get vertical to do the job instead. Yaga strikes true, though, with the first entry into the site here, knocking out Yas and evening out the player count into a 4 4v4, but with 15 seconds left, the follow-up needs to be swift. They need to find a way to force Woogieman out of position, but okay, never mind. Woogieman's just going to take the duel for himself instead. Plants a possibility, and they're certainly going to be able to try and leverage it for themselves here as everyone in sight bows down to the members of Oxygen. Somehow, they negotiate a win for themselves and steal this first round.
Very questionable swing there from Woogieman. If you wanted to swing him,
most of the team,
just swing him in the first place when he shoots the M4 through the door. You had the information, you know your teammate lit him up, just swing the door and kill him. But unfortunately enough for Damwon, they don't do so. They swing willy-nilly and lose a lot of bodies in the process. Oxygen able to once again collapse upon them whilst Damwon go for these ill-advised swings. We've seen this time and time again from their offensive sides where they await the mistakes of the defense, and well, it works out this time.
So Damwon will switch away from that, not willing to go for a repeat. They are locked into their rotation, and we're going to see them head upstairs into CCTV instead to try and yield a second round here. Oxygen, in the meanwhile, of course, will keep their setup relatively similar, as we are going to see the Zofia and Ash combo kept alive alongside, in fact, the identical lineup from the previous round. They feel no need to change it up, as their utility kit should work quite well to clear things out inside of CCTV and Cash, just as it worked perfectly fine, surprisingly fine, I would say, even for the basement attack on the last round.
Well, the big thing is in that last round is look where all the kills came from. It was just Yaga and Laxing. Yag with 3, Laxing with 2. Impressive stuff from both of them, and hopefully they can continue this onslaught, especially for Yaga's case, as Coastline was definitely a map that he's looking to forget. For Damwon, they're upstairs inside of CCTV now, as they'll be holding things down inside of Garage. Katsang does not have the AUG. Instead, he's got the TCSG, which, I mean, especially for some of our longtime viewers, you might remember from a couple of years ago. The shotgun is quite the interesting one, and even more interestingly enough, a hollow on this gun instead of a scope for Katsang.
It's getting slow built again here. Oxygen just mounting up to take initial control, mainly over here towards Jim's side first, and we'll see Foxy, of course, still opening up the main balcony closer to the actual site that's currently being played into. Won't be too much of a delay on that either. Maverick negates all of the mitigation that comes in from the defensive side of things, and with Kino still bringing the Zofia, just a quick lifeline throw out there, deals with the soft destruction that needs to follow it through. Now the focus will more than likely shift to icing out the Garage Catwalk players. That's still going to be a very powerful position, and one that will need to be respected if OXG cannot bleed said player out. Actually, just kind of pre-setting a drone up here on top of the pipes to watch later on in the round should Damwon try to rotate back in. That does mean more than likely OXG are going to try to play for Garage control if they want to pay attention to that and not necessarily hold any presence underneath the sites.
Oxygen can take their time here now as Laxing trying to move his way over towards Master. Yaga will break up the wall inside of this space as well. They can get some more pressure onto the construction area. Yas going fishing, unable to find too much here in the logistics office, as still slow-moving offense for Oxygen in the time, but continually applying pressure towards the site in the same breath as be able to break up some of these walls and force Damwon to be aware of where this push is coming in from. For Oxygen, though, it doesn't look like they have too much pressure over towards the plat side any longer, and in fact, they don't. Everyone is over towards this Khan's Master side for the time being. Foxy outside on the Master window. He'll chuck a nade inside as they drone out this space, but that means Katsang will be able to hold onto the garage here, and they'll more than likely be looking for a plant inside of the cash room.
OXG still waiting out the time here, and at the same time, Damwon still trying to play back to their own positions further in the site. Since the player in Garage is not going to be pressured, he'll be free to hold on to the rotation point and definitely pressure anybody that tries to swing in from construction. This could be one move that Oxygen may end up regretting later in the round, but Ice Nade, it's going to force Katsang out of position, allow for a possible hop in, and here comes the swing as they work their way in. Kodit's ready to respond to this one. Akino fends off the play from Katsang. The plant now going down on the ground, and I don't believe Damwon have any route to stop it. The construction push works out here. They keep the numbers even and now push it into their favor with Kino finding the next kill against Kodit. Rotations coming in from the lower hold on Damwon, but in my opinion, it's too little too late here. This is going to be such a tough retake. They've got Garage pressure, but they need to group up here. They need to find some way to swing out a bit more confidently. Rin's going to find him, but Kino instead finds him, and Yaga shuts down the next one as OXG get a second attacking round going here on Clubhouse.
Well, 2 offensive rounds now for the offensive side here of Oxygen. Oxygen, as they've been able to lock things down initially here. Both rounds looking a little scary in a certain sense, but obviously able to get some very serious kills to influence these situations. And now for Damwon, they're going to head back down the stairs to Church Arsenal, where they started us off. Yeah, so obviously had the alibi initially, but more than likely another 6 pick coming in from them. And Auction will be sticking to their guns with this offensive lineup, unless Lax more than likely wants something a little bit differently. But no, I'm going to keep the Ash in play, as this has been working out pretty handedly thus far, and we'll have the Wamai come back in for defense.
Basement's up next, as Damwon will retry that instead of extending over towards a gym or bar hold here. Anybody might have been surprised that I said bar. Yes, bar does get played by the other regions. Just North America that has a weird fear of going to that site for some reason. So,
you know, I think it's just the precedent has been set, right? That the site's trash because
it's like a gentleman's agreement of like nobody play the weird site. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Which, to be fair, like the holds are not that weird at this point. They kind of make perfect sense for how the site is set up. It's just like a usual like villa site, like in Kitchener or something like that, where you have to extend upwards. Obviously, you almost have to bring Castle to at least cut this site up a bit more, but still, it seems pretty workable from the rounds I've seen. Apparently, most of North America disagrees still, however. So
I mean, well, you know, NA's not on top as of right now. We haven't lifted a hammer at the most recent. LATAM has, so LATAM's just better than us, John, and we have to accept that.
We're doing better than Europe, at least, right?
I mean, yeah, we're better than Europe. Who's Europe? I can't remember. Oh, you have no idea.
Some colorful comms just came in from our European observers.
I wish you guys could have heard production, but it wasn't safe for your ears, as no one likes North America for some reason. I think it's because we talk a lot of trash, but either way, our NA teams have been staving off elimination this entire time. We somehow still have all of our Infinity Stones at this tournament, whereas, well, you can't say that for every other region, so all of you guys can actually just... Well, you know how to finish that. So either way, Oxygen, they will continue to break up this flooring here and hopefully deal some serious damage to DWG. No, this is not me bleeding American colors, I promise you. We will keep this as even-keeled as possible. And Kat Sang apparently heard me, as a Nitro Cell will go off and take out Vertical.
There's bump in the road for Oxygen, but also going to open up some more real estate for them to try and fire back down against this hold from Damwon, as we have a few players still leaning themselves out and about from the site here. They needed to be pushed back, but I believe that task has been accomplished now, as Wickman putting down a very late Evil Eye. I think he wanted to see where the attack was going to come from so we could position it appropriately. Knows there's probably going to be Moto pressure now after the initial movements have been seen from Oxygen, so wants to try and blockade that off, where we could have positioned that over into Arsenal if we saw things going in that direction. Speaking of which, we are still going to see the slow bleed of impacts, same as the last attempt here. Looks like they got the first one off, but the second one a little bit slower here, as once again the first player has drained out their bank of impacts, and now Yas just looking to throw his in here. And OXG unfortunately unsuccessful at deploying themselves against his. I'm not sure, actually, that last impact they're missing, so finally going to see a bit of luck thrown towards Oxygen, as they don't have to use half of their pellets just to be able to get the hatch open.
This is starting to get a little scary for Damwon here. They need to make a big stand. They desperately need this round. If Oxygen go up 3, well, first things first, have to see the tag pause. That has to come out if this ends up going towards the offensive favor. Foxay will double back here, looking for the AK player. Does he get any damage on him? He does not. That frag grenade just short here. He also continue to hold things down as concussions pour in. Oxygen looking to get aggressive as there are only 30 seconds remaining and they need to hop too. Yeah, starting to take some damage. Same for Kino as the plant starts off for Yaga. Fox will be holding on to Moto as Yaga will get off the plant and double up here. Another smoke out as Katsane takes down Yaga, though. That will be the planter, and oh my, a move from Laxane. Wuggy will be in behind the bar, but he finally gets taken out from Foxay. Kino sticking the plant. The overwatch here from Foxay. The cross from Church. They know where a couple of these members are. He'll double back as he knows that he can play this from vertical. Kino trying to hold things down. He does it so very well. Foxay has the cross, and Oxygen have 3 rounds.
Kino coming alive in that series, holding himself on in the post plant there. Pivotal kill to isolate the player from third, as Foxay was still mid-movement trying to rotate towards blue. He goes down. That's a dangerous precedent being set, and possibly the team being allowed back in. But he holds himself in, and now we head into round number 4. But we are going to get the pause before we get there, as you were talking about previously. Dam1 no longer can accept another loss here without stopping to talk about it and getting some input from their coach.
Well, I guess the good news is that they don't pay me for no reason, right? We're able to figure this one out ourselves here, folks, as Dam1 Gaming will take the tech time out and see exactly what they can do going forward inside of these defenses. And as of right now, it's looking bleak. They're finding the initial picks, but they can't try and pause when it comes to the actual plant. They're able to, well, force the planter off, but past that, not really much. They're not able to really hold onto the site in any convincing way. It's constantly Oxygen just applying pressure and cutting up the site and making it really difficult for them to re-enter into the portion that Oxygen has taken away from them. Excuse me, they need to find an answer to this in a pretty convincing way and in a short time frame as well. Past that, I mean, can you believe that DWG are currently down 3 rounds to Oxygen? The team that could not close out a map is about to take out the best South Korean team at this LAN.
That dryness in here, man.
Yes, it is indeed.
It's killer. Just no saliva in our mouth.
Yeah, this water is not helping either, man. I'm trying my best.
But yeah, I mean, let's talk about it for a second. I mean, Dam1 was a favorite to win this tournament for at least a few of the other casters and analysts that are here. I heard that as a pretty common discussion point, but now they're potentially about to get second rounded in the lower bracket. I don't think anyone saw this one coming into Oxygen of all teams as well. Oxygen's certainly not a team that was expected to go super far in this tournament, not even less. I don't think it was the top of like NA's list for quite a few people as well here. They were kind of sitting in the middle of the pack at best for a lot of people here. So this would be a huge surprise and a very unfortunate fall from grace for Dam1 specifically, should it come to pass. But only a quarter of the way into the map here. Still plenty of chances for Dam1, and we've already seen in the past that these pauses have led credence to them coming back fairly quickly afterwards. So let's see if it was the magic they needed to bounce back yet again, as they're going to go for their third hold inside of basement to try and finally pick up a round here.
And Laxing, who's been looking so very dominant here on Clubhouse thus far, is going to be switching things up on over to Twitch, and we'll have to see what he has for his primary. He'll have the F2, whereas we've seen a couple of people adopting the 417 in recent memory, especially from earlier today where we saw Onigiri almost break the kill record on Oregon. An insane series there, but now for Oxygen, they're looking to gather even more steam here on this offensive side.
Well, we've got Oxygen out on the board here, and they're going to begin the process of droning things out. This was going to be the issue here for Dam1 in trying to adjust their strategy in a big way for the basement hold. There's not a lot you can adjust, unfortunately, as you've got two choices. You play the extended roam or you play the bunker hold. It's very much like the basement inside of Oregon, although Oregon even would be very bold to see you extend out from that one. But either way, limits your choices quite a bit here, so there's not a whole lot that Dam1 can do to change their own fate. That player that was extended out, Yas, has already fallen back through the main stairs into the relative safety of the first floor hold, and from there we'll probably see them fall even further back. Never mind, it's actually Woogie Man holding main stairs. Yas went completely downstairs and is currently inside of Arsenal. So once again, Dam1 falling into the good graces of their bunker, and we'll hope to try and win this out in a late round for a third consecutive time.
Well, it's a slow roll here for the offense, as to be expected with a downstairs attack. They'll begin breaking up the bar wall, allowing some space for the other soft breach to come in and create some angles that they can possibly abuse in towards that armory area. Woogieman will currently be manning the armory space here, as he'll more than likely try and impact trick out this situation yet again here from Yogg, as he'll continue to apply a set of 2 Exkyros to the top of this until inevitably the basement players run out of impacts. Vertical going to be playing this pretty close to the chest though, and that could obviously deal some damage to him, but luckily enough the first impact will not do so. They do indeed have the Electro Claw though as well, as Vertical will try and get rid of that. He'll have to drop a nade down low here in order to do so, and that will be able to get that. So back towards, well, what we were doing before. 2 down and now a hold here from Vertical. There's no Nitro Cell on the defense to be able to prevent him from playing this angle. It'll have to be down to the gunfire, but that's mostly in onto Yas.
So much time being wasted. I think the second X-Kairos charge is going to be allowed to go off. Way too much of the soft breach has been blown up here, so it's a huge risk for someone on Damwon to now approach it and attempt to pop off that impact, especially from the usual angle where you just bank it off the underside of the table and that allows it to spread directly over to the pellets. Won't work out this time for Damwon as they'll be bled in, and immediately we're going to see some counter action come out from Oxygen as they try to force the issue in blue, only leading to a 1-to-1 exchange though with Woogieman being there for the cover-up. Kino still trying to maintain oil pit control, but in the meantime, the Arsenal play has been breached as well. Oxygen are rushing their way in, but the responses are still strong here. Time's starting to run out, and the player count's getting low too. Kino left alone. He's been the big player for this team though, finding the first kill, but can he get the second one? Faking the plant, but no bait out there from Katsang. He sits in the corner, waits out the timer, and finally, our Korean players will be on the board.
Oxygen quite aggressive in that one, but no real way to secure the plant, and that's how Damwon get away here inside of round 4. In their first round on the board that they desperately needed in the moment. Round 5 just around the corner, but a long road ahead of them as they try to equalize on this defensive side, as Clubhouse does end up tending to go that way. We have seen quite a few very strong clears, though, of Clubhouse here at SI, and quite a few strong attacking teams. Damwon more than likely inside of that same boat. So Yas will be 6-picking away from the alibi and into the Wamai, something that we see quite commonly from him inside of this one. And, well, minus that, it's going to be for the upstairs attack this time inside of CCTV. Reinforce single panel here just to make sure that they can't get into the default plant spot so easily if they do take control of Garage. They'll reinforce the panels down low and then more than likely play Katsang's Electro Claw utility on the rafters to lock those up.
Come on, face it.
Oh, that's just not nice, Woogie.
As he's going to pop out the bottom side of the soft breach here. Once again, just to trying to slow down the opening process for Foxy as long as possible.
You see this?
What, the electrical or?
Katsang's got the Han Solo pistol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got the 44 mag out here. We could see some interesting kills coming through with this. If you guys remember, this used to be the only pistol that was available actually for this operator, and then eventually they gave him the revolver as well, so you actually have 2 pretty cool pistols as your secondary.
Sneaky little electrical going downstairs in the main hall there. Unfortunately, this is the first place we usually see attackers tend to clear out, so if they're paying attention above them, they might be able to spot that fairly early on here. And yep, we're going to see that breach cause them to open up the left side instead of the right one here, but even so, you can see it being Swiss cheesed out. It's going to cause Foxy a little bit of a slowdown, but as you can tell, not too detrimental here. Still able to work it, just has to kind of look for the actual opening so he doesn't end up wasting too much of the fuel inside of that torch there. And you can see them actually sledging it back out to make it a bit easier for him. This is actually a great time-wasting mechanism. Not a whole lot, but still, over time, this is going to build itself up. And okay, a little bit of a race car dash outside of the garage doorway there, but doesn't really lead to a whole lot, unfortunately.
Oh, no. Does he get it? Oh, Fox? Oh, no, he didn't. He's got to get out towards the middle section of this. There's a pixel.
There we go. Now we got it.
Finally, he'll be able to secure that. That was really sketchy, because if it's the far side there, he has to actually crouch up to it, and that could be a possibility of a kill coming in from the defense. But luckily enough, able to get this wall open now, and in good timing as well. As John said, it's a good delay mechanism, but it usually only wastes about 10 to 15 extra seconds depending on the situation.
That 10 to 15 seconds can be pivotal, though, if a team is moving to clear that out later on in the round, or if they're going to end up stressed for time by the end of it, as we have seen time and time again be the case for both of our teams over the course of this series. Rin now starting to creep his way back up here. He wants to reinsert himself into Garage. I don't believe the panels have been opened as of yet, but actually, yeah, correcting myself there as we go to the drone POV from Vertical. They do have a small opening sitting over on the far side of it, but immediate shots coming in against Vertical as he tries to entry in from there. But still a minute left to go here, so Oxygen are not necessarily stressed for time just yet. It will become more and more of an issue, however. Every 10 seconds we go is another potential issue that Oxygen will have to contend with here as they try to suss out the positions of Damwon. Things go eerily quiet for stressed for time. OXG will soon be here. Some damage now connected against Katsang, but still holds a strong position. They try to swing it against him. His cash is going to be handed over. Yaga eventually able to negotiate that kill. Yas also finding one. The Toxic Vape does not spread far enough, so Yaga is free to plant here. Now Rin, stressed, rushes up to the top side and only gives away his death as nearly everyone from DWG KIA goes down. A single trade found from Woogieman off of his utility, but aside from that, it's all Oxygen all day here on the upstairs clear. here as they bounce back and immediately trade out the lost round in basement back on number 4.
Oxygen looking like some stone-cold killers at the moment. Not a single smile across this bench. Everyone locked into the game for the time being. Damwon need to find a second round here as things begin to look bleak, John. This offensive side is just striking way too true for Oxygen in the current moment. Damwon Gaming try to go towards Gym Bedroom now after an unsuccessful CCTV defense that just really didn't bode well for them at the end of the day. They allow presence in through the breach that actually gifts them garage on top of that. You really never see that break down in that way. Usually the cross is held and nobody can just simply walk in through the breach to have any effective play over that garage player, but obviously this one being an outlier.
4-1 for Oxygen as we head to the final round of the opening half. The Damwon have to get worried about their stature here. At the same time, might not be too concerned just yet. We talked about this in the pregame about how this map has been flipped a little bit so far at this tournament. We've been seeing a lot of very attacker-sided halves. And this could be the case yet again, but still, if we end up 5-1, that's desperate no matter which side is advantaged on the map there. And OXG will certainly be feeling confident about themselves on the defensive end of it, should they be able to negotiate that scoreline. 2-4, I think we'll be seeing both teams feel pretty confident about themselves when the sides slip here. So let's take a look at how exactly it will pan out. Damwon KIA finally falling back into Gym, trying to use this site to negotiate their second round.
Oxygen has been struggling with shutting out maps, but as you said, a 5-1 scoreline is definitely going to make things quite difficult for Damwon Gaming. And the big news for Oxygen is that they're able to shut the door on them inside of the last map. So can they do it here? Can they get it done on Clubhouse and try and stop Damwon from eliminating them? With such a lead already built, shouldn't be too worried about this coming into these next rounds. Foxay will begin breaking up the wall, but he's only going to add to a line here and make sure that they have the possibility of catching anyone crossing through CCTV, but there's a lot of other avenues that they need to open up initially here before this offense is fully kicked off.
Drone will go into position to overwatch that line, just to see if they can catch anyone, as Stokes was mentioning, on cross, but now you're going to see Kino work his way up to the hatch underneath of the site. Their free pick on an Evil Eye due to no one on Damwon having overwatch for that hatch. And they'll carry it forward here using the second charge just to take out the barbed wire in the main stair. Time to drone, though, as Kino has actually been dominating inside of this game. Only 1 death so far for him, at 8 kills to correspond to that one here. And the rest of the team sitting at pretty confident score lines as well. Fox 8 5-2. And aside from that, things a little bit more even for the other 3, but the dominance from Kino is certainly something that needs to be respected here. So he's been a little bit on and off this tournament. It's been kind of an exchange between either him or Yaga. That's been the players to look to in a lot of clutch scenarios here, but at least one of them continues to show up. Oxygen have truly been a force to be reckoned with, and in this specific case are on the precipice of knocking out one of the strongest prospects to win this tournament, at least from the APAC region.
Which would be absolutely absurd, given everything that we've talked about Oxygen inside of this matchup. They were the team from North America that had so much going for them coming into this. A lot of people high on Oxygen, even though they weren't necessarily the greatest team coming out of NA. They looked quite strong the first day, but just could not get the ball rolling when it came to closing out their maps. And oh, it's gonna work! Vertical at the very last second. He got the grenade off, and it's gonna trade out on Decoded.
From the grave, he's able to find that exchange, but Katzing immediately takes up his now dead teammate's position. Probably not for too much longer, though, as the ex-Kyra is going to bleed out the last bastion of safety he did have in the reinforcement. And can't even get himself to a new safer harbor here. Nearly contested out back over by main stairs, so he has to hide against the green wall and hope this deployable shield is going to stick around for a bit longer here and allow him to contest against the breach players.
The wave of Oxygen coming to crash now as it's a 4v4 going into the last 30 seconds. Foxay ready for the swing, and he'll find Rin, who tries and remove the player out here on Master Balcony. ADS, though, out, and he's ready and willing to try and take this next one. Yas will give it to him. Katzing to take out one. Almost the equalizer here as Foxay's got a triple kill. He's finally popping off as the LMG. No, it's Fox with the pistol here. A quad for the IGL here in the dying moments as Oxygen go into their defensive half up 5-1.
Oxygen with that massive lead built up for themselves. Only 2 out of the remaining 6 rounds will be needed now for them to not only push themselves on to the next round of the lower bracket, but eliminate Damwon KIA in the process here. Such an early drop for a team that had so much premise here. They need to find their strength and do so quickly and without access to a pause as well. Already using theirs at the halfway point in this first half. So DWG KIA, what are you going to do? What is going to be the winning strategy here to try and negotiate 4 rounds just to tie it up, and then 2 more on top of that also? This needs to be such a massive comeback, so they're going to have to hope that OXG's defensive side will be weak and susceptible to the advances from the attackers we have been seeing so far at this tournament, and that it's one of those maps that's going to teeter-totter heavily into the favor of the attackers overall, and not one that Oxygen can easily control now that they can dictate the state of play here from the basement.
Oxygen will be headed upstairs, as this is indeed the roam strategy coming out from the defense. They'll be trying to hold on to all of these extended walls for as long as they possibly can muster. Laxing might be applying some electro claws into the space. We'll have to see. Usually we see the mute jammers coming out, but it just depends on what the teams are willing to go for and how much defensive setup they really want to apply towards this top floor. Kind of an interesting setup inside of that space, as there is a single reinforced panel as well as a hole in the opposing wall here as of right now. So that obviously is just going to block out the top main area that you could possibly get an angle on, but it's still going to allow DWG to start things off on that west side if they so choose. For Oxygen, they'll still have a few bodies upstairs. This will not be a ghost setup for them, as, well, Katsang will more than likely know that there is somebody in this area now, as that drone hole has found Vertical's feet.
Vertical waiting for the repel to potentially swing back up there, but not going to see it this time. And unfortunately leaving him powerless to stop the potential opening here. He's just going to hope he can get lucky when the breach is made, but won't find anything on the other side of it still. No vision being given over. First half being dealt with. You can tell from that line in the middle of the reinforcements, but actually, no, it hasn't been opened up just yet here, so something holding strong here. There we go. Just needed to get the last corner. I think they wanted to maybe get Woogieman out of the hot zone first before they popped in that last line there, but either way, the job is done. Yaga will retake control on the inside of stock here, catching a drone in the process, trying to spray into garage a little bit late on that. Rin has already moved in and taking control of the outer stock area here, so we'll certainly try to negotiate the kill versus Yaga if the opportunity presents itself, but now Yaga's gone, dropped back through the hatch here, so Rin will have to pay attention to blue if he wants to potentially catch that player.
Well, not for Yaga. He will be playing that blue space, as you said. Woogie will be back on the drone, and the delay here from Oxygen working out tenfold as of right now. We'll limit it down to about a minute and a half here as DWG still have to clear out a couple of the odds and ends around this mid-floor and make sure that Oxygen are not waiting around for them, and they'll be able to clear that out. But now with such low time, they need to achieve quite a lot inside of this space, and with that being said, we need to see them get onto this hard breach very, very soon. Yas will be able to collect some insight as to where these players are, and for Yas, this has not been the game that he's been wanting either. 0-6 in the current moment, especially from a character that we've seen do so much for DWG at this LAN. To be quiet in the moment is definitely going to be harming them.
So with time getting low and little progress being made for DWG KIA, still needing to find a way to open things up. They just whiff X-Kairos directly. Yeah, they did.
He's trying to get rid of the Electroclaw on the side.
Oh, man.
Well,
this is just not a good round here for DWG at this point. So much time wasted, and now finally a player lost after whiffed utility as well. Coded trying to knock out some of this hatch work, is now going to lose himself, and Woogieman, I don't even believe he has enough of a charge left, let alone do they have enough time to be able to open that one back up, so they're going to have to force the issue in blue. Even there, though, Kino's been holding things off with Toxic Babes. To be fair, those are going to fall in a second, and now Yas finds the first exchange, but that hatch trap goes pretty much as you'd expect it here. Kino negotiating for 2 kills before he is decked down to the ground here. Possibility of him getting revived. Woogieman will sneak back in, but the immediate exchanges follow through, and that's 1 out of 2. Checkmarked onto the board for Oxygen. Only one more is needed, and they knock out the strongest contenders from APAC and push themselves on.
Is this it for the South Koreans? I really cannot believe this in the current moment. This is actually insane. Coming into this series, I mean, I assumed that we would go the full distance, but I did not think that DWG Gaming would go silently into the night. It's a 1-6 scoreline right now. 5 rounds have to be secured in a row for DWG just to push us to overtime, John. And past that, they still need 2 on top of it to win it.
At the very minimum, they won't have to contend against the fairly easy-to-hold nature of the basement play anymore, at least for the next 2 rounds. They will have to contend with it later on if they can even get that far, but OXG will extend their grasp over into a gym hold for what could very well be the final round of play for this series here. Taking a look at the defending lineup, we're going to have an Ella pick coming out from Yogg too, so a little bit of a surprise there. I'm curious, is he going to play it with the shotgun, however, or are we going to see him bring in the SMG, as that will potentially determine where we would see him play. But away from that as well, Mute and Smoke combo here to try and blockade off the walls on top of a Cade as well, so lots of utility that'll need to be bled out here for Down One Gaming to work their way in, and that's on top of having to dodge the Mute Jammers to get their drones in good positions also.
Yeah, dodge the Mute Jammers and hopefully dodge Foxay and Kano. 10-1 and 11-2. That's 21-3 combined. That is absolutely absurd as of right now. For Oxygen, they're looking to put Damwon Gaming 6 feet under, as Yaga will start things off inside of Garage. He'll destroy a couple of cameras here and already limit the potential info game from DWG.
Early start to the round as we do end up with the SMG pick from Yaga, so he's going to be playing out and about, wanting to take fights in the early round. Now, this is a bit bold from Oxygen, and this could be how they lose the plot, at least on this round early on, as if these players end up getting caught. There's no trade to be seen here, as it doesn't look like there's a great support system set up to support Yaga here, who's been having some mixed results inside of this series, and we can already see that. A lot of damage connecting onto him from the interior of Garage here, loses about 1/3 of his HP. Still wants to challenge, though, as he maintains control over the outer stock position by the front door, but will more than likely end up giving that up in a few moments.
Well, Yaga, so very aggressive in this space. He's just trying to throw it at him right now. He wants to make sure that Damwon knows that he's in this area as he tries to waste time. Fantastic utility usage here from Oxygen as well, as they'll be able to get rid of one of Kodad's Electro Claws. Now nades out following a stun here to make sure that there's no ADSs in the space. It's actually a smoke instead, as yet another Electro Claw, or rather Thermite Charge, will go down. No Electro Claw to try and answer that. They have the bathroom wall electrified right now for Kino, so he'll be able to hold on to this for a time, and even if they do find an answer to that, he's still got a Mute Jammer in the space as well to limit some intel gathering. We're halfway through the round now with 0 damage dealt, all except to Yaga for Oxygen here, as Damwon look to see where their entry point could possibly be to the site.
So kitchen access, or rather bathroom access, more than likely not going to be a thing here for Damwon because that second Exo got bled out. There is still a lot of juice left in Boogeyman's torch, but I'm not sure if it's enough, and I'm not sure if they're even going to have enough time to be able to open that up for themselves. Okay, though. No one watching the main hallway. Look at this. Yash just walking right in. Huge misstep from Oxygen, and it's going to continue to bleed out the player count. 4 kills in a row as the defensive matrix is non-existent in the site for OXG, and Fox is left alone to fend off against the entire world here. Won't even be ready for the push on main stairs, and it's a quite sudden, flawless round from Damwon KIA. Big mistakes being made there from Oxygen, and it's going to cost them the first of 5.
Well, I guess walking at them is a strategy, as we just see the Twitch walk right through main and directly into the site. So many kills coming from Yas in this position, and what a way to kick things off here to try and pull themselves from the depths. That'll be their second round, but still a long road ahead of them, as Oxygen not feeling as though the gym defense would really work out this time around. They'll head over to CCTV this time around. Vertical's going to have the Bandit. He's going to 6-pick away from that, pick up the Mute, as Laxine will have those Electro Claws to once again lock up the Garage panels.
Mute will probably get right into it pretty quickly, however, is okay, hold on. Not fully confirmed on the Mute just yet. They're still thinking about it, but yeah, there we go, just baiting us a bit. As Mute will still be locked in here, and that's not going to be too astronomical of a 6-pick to be able to deal with for Damwon KIA. They've already dealt with it on the previous round there. Mute's pretty expected operator pickup to be seen inside of this site. A bit more claustrophobic of a hold for Oxygen, as they will have to crunch their players inside of that final minute to 30 seconds of the round once Damwon eventually takes control of the main balcony area, the garage, or construction, whichever side they would choose to push in from here. And yeah, we're going to see Oxygen get a little bit of revenge from the earlier play back on the first half there. At least we're seeing the members of Damwon Swiss cheese up the wall a little bit to slow down Oxygen. Now they'll do the same thing.
Yes, indeed, my friend. We'll see how this goes for Oxygen here in the moment, as this is looking pretty traditional when it comes to the overall setup for this top floor. Foxy will be playing things inside of Garage, as he'll continue to add discs to this equation. ADS is more than likely inside of the space as well here. Actually, no, it's just all up to Foxy here. No Jaeger along for the ride for OXG, so he's actually going to put both of his discs inside of the actual space here, inside of CCTV, so pretty interesting stuff happening as of right now. Rin going to take a little bit of damage initially here as Yas is going to lose one of his drones. The torch will warm up for Woogie Man as he begins dictating what happens with the CCTV wall.
30 seconds already bled out from the round, but this is very early nade pressure coming in from Damwon, just again to try and knock out some of these electric claws on the inside. Coded puts it down, but has to cancel it there as the nade didn't have full confidence in its capability to knock that one back out. Thankfully, I believe the second electric claw already occupied somewhere else on the map, and Damwon catch on to this one, so not going to be too much additional things to worry about there. As the EXO goes through, the wall is open, the balcony given access to our attackers here.
There we go. Yas kind of spinning things around and finally finding some utility, but the mute jammer just in range to catch the Rotero drone. Foxy continually holding on to Garage as well. The discs more than likely coming in soon to try and assist him. Rin will continue to hold on to Plat for a time as they now have the cross set up. They'll more than likely be trying to work and negotiate for Garage here in just a few moments, and that'll be up to Foxy to try and hold on to. Laxing still has an electro claw in his pocket, but yeah, way too late on that one. The exothermic charge just so happens to be our fastest hard breach when it comes down to it. Well, that and the Selma. The Selma beats it out a little bit, but the exothermic definitely making quite the larger hole when it comes down to it.
Actually gonna belly flop into the basement here now over by Oil Pit, and surprisingly is sticking around. I'm pretty sure that drone over on top may have spotted him if the angle worked out well, but that one's certainly going to see him. I'm not sure if they spotted Yas, however, so he's gonna be able to creep back up here and potentially walk right up to be able to find Laxing in the corner. Oh no, not looking the right way. He's ready for it, and not only him, Yaga maintains position to find a frag against Coded as well. Massive losses sustained from Damwon, and oh no, another run out from Foxy catches Woogie Man from the lower level of Garage here. This is so bad for Damwon. It's fallen now to Katsang and Rin to clutch it out. No! Another run out from Foxays. It eliminates Rin. APAC is going down as Kino shuts out a last member of the squad, and OXG survive 2-1 in the series and eliminate one of the brightest prospects from the APAC region.
One of the most incredible teams in this region falls to Oxygen after a rocky road here at SI that knocks them into the lower bracket. They're able to beat out the team that was knocked down from the Sonics and then once again eliminated by a North American squad. Impressive gameplay, and you can see the relief on this squad's face. Oxygen heads high after this matchup.
A well-earned victory for the Oxygen squad, as I won't lie, things looked awful after the first map there, especially from their attacking side, but they rebound on Coastline and take absolutely amazing control of things here on Clubhouse to shut out Damwon KIA. So many people thought that this team at a minimum would have made it to the finals, possibly take the entire event, but no, they will get knocked out in the second round of the lower bracket. Commiserations to them, of course, for making it as far as they did, but their road ends here and now in Sweden, as instead it's another North American team carrying forward. OXG survived through 2 lower bracket series today and live to fight yet another day.
These North American teams just won't die. Every single time it comes down to it, they fight so very hard, and we see it yet again here. And of course, it has to end on Clubhouse. Would you have it any other way for a best of 3 inside of Rainbow Six Siege? I think not. Damwon Gaming, though, playing a heck of a series and a heck of a LAN overall. They've been so very fun to watch this entire time, but sadly, they have to go home after this matchup.
Certainly the case there, but either way, a huge comeback for the members of Oxygen. What a final map from Foxy as well. I'm sure the analysts are going to have a lot to say about that, as well as the other individual performances from many of the members of Oxygen throughout the course of that series. A riveting one, and one that certainly both of us were scared about, being the NA fans that we are, but either way, OXG end up on top of it. They take it 2-1 and now survive to fight one more time. We're going to go to a break, ladies and gentlemen, and when we do return, we'll have your command center ready to break this match down.